deep, man. I've been looking into the conspiracy theories of it all, man.
Well, yeah, the funny thing is there are actually, you say that in a sort of comical way, but there are actually
I borrowed one of my old man's tinfoil hats for this one. It's crazy. What a time to be alive, man. Like, what is going on? What's going on? I should probably
yeah,
turn that Ever
one of
Crisis
the
off and put chat on.
one of the biggest game developers out there. Because when you think about it, think how big Unity actually is. Think how many games actually use it.
I don't want to because it makes me sad thinking how many of them might end up disappearing, especially when stuff like, Vampire Survivors is
Uh-huh,
first. Uh,
and Team Cherry.
Man, I'm sorry. I feel like I've said it's not coming out so many times that I've actually just somehow managed to manifest this. I said it too many times, and
I know
The Matrix.
we've had one too many Silk Song isn't coming out jokes.
It's oh my god, am I an orc? Am I a Warhammer 40k orc? Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't believe. Maybe if they
We
painted
need
it red.
Yeah, you need to make that game cover art red so it comes out faster.
Fuck. God damn it. All right. Well, yeah. Hey, how are you doing? Before we get into how games are bad right now.
I I am much better, and for anyone just joining us, I am sorry we weren't here last week. I had COVID.
I was so
I,
worried.
I yeah, I got a bout of COVID that took me out for roughly a week.
Yeah, man, that was rough. That was. I'm glad that you're over it, but goddamn, it's scary that it's still like about and fucking people up.
Yeah, there's supposedly there's a new strain that's been going about in Scotland, and chances are that is a strain that I got because I mean, you expect if you're multiple times vaccinated, which I am, expect to fight these things off a little bit quicker, but this one was fairly serious.
I don't know, man. I don't know if the vaccinations. I might know if helped anything. Fucking Jesus.
Uh,
I met one of them at the weekend, and I just had to bite my tongue so hard. But anyway, let me just finish rolling this, and then I'll get into the game, and then we can get into the week in gaming because it's what a fucking week it's been.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about, including I want to do a little bit on Nintendo Direct. I know there's not that much that's happened that's relevant to our
Oh, go
little
on then.
corner of the internet, but there are some big things coming for Nintendo which actually look pretty good. And there's one thing that gave me enormous blue balls, and I want to get it off my chest.
Oh, go on then, since it's you.
You might even say it caused me big blue balls. If you get that reference, I'm not sure, but
I don't think I do.
okay, cool. We'll get to it. We're also going to get onto, of course, the state of play that dropped, and oh my god, the things that we have seen.
That state of play, just for a brief summary, that state of play, I spent. How long was that whole thing? Was it like half an hour?
Yeah, it was around about half an hour.
I spent 25 minutes of it flatlining. Like, actually actively upset at what I was seeing, and in the last 5 minutes I was like, ah! Ah! Like that.
Yep, yep, hyperventilating, crying. Yep, we did it all.
Oh man, I saw some things. I feel like I peered through the void. I saw into the future, and it's looking real good.
The future is looking nice.
So, right, let's go
And
for.
yeah, we've also got, like, of course, the big Unity debacle, and something that's been kind of dropped in our lap as of like an hour ago. There's been a leak at Microsoft.
Yes, there has. I saw that. Teehee.
Shall we start with that?
All right, let's go for it. So
Yeah.
it's not really a leak so much as it is
This
a
this
forced.
came to me courtesy, by the way, of Emma who brought it on to me just as I came home, right as I came in the door. By the way, something happened.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily a leak so much as it is a forced reveal by the courts.
Yes,
But
interesting.
yeah, so as part of the FTC, you know, like thing that's going on with Microsoft as part of their acquisition of ActiBliz,
The ActiBliz thing, yeah.
they are being forced to reveal a lot of their internal conversations and a lot of their plans for the future, just as a kind of like discovery phase and like to show exactly what where the business is going to make sure that we're not creating a monopoly. Don't worry, guys, our consoles are still shit. Um, yeah, so as a result of that, they have had to bring forward some documents that show off things that haven't been officially announced yet, and one of them was the next generation of Microsoft consoles. Is this what you're referring to?
So I'm actually more referring to the list of games that got leaked.
Oh, I didn't see the games. I just heard about the
Right. Okay.
consoles.
Well, we have things to trade then.
Oh, sick. Okay, let's see what you got. Open up your binder.
Okay, so in gaming news,
Got
we've had revealed that um we're going to be for let me see,
got
yo.
need. I'm doing got need
Oh
in your
yeah,
binder.
you're doing the trade binder, cool. So so we have for so first of all we have confirmation of an Oblivion remaster,
God damn it.
which is in the works, and it was supposed to come out in 2022, but it got pushed back internally. And there are that's also been leaked along with the confirmation that Indiana Jones game isn't just a twinkle in Todd's eye.
No, apparently it's like
Um,
50% of the way done. Hey, Beebs.
hey babes, how we doing? We're
See,
just
just as a sidebar of where we're talking about known liar Fraud
mhm,
Howard.
yes.
Did you see the interview that is going around with him and Phil Spencer on, I think it was Bloomberg, talking about Starfield?
Yeah, was this about the
Oh,
PC performance?
oh man, that interviewer,
Uh,
every question was a banger for like right off the gate. Why isn't it optimized for PC? Why does your game run like shit on PC, Todd?
uh,
And he's
uh,
just like, yeah, you might have to upgrade the PC. And he's like, right, okay, Todd, okay, that's fine. Why are there no
yeah.
vehicles in the game, Todd? And he's like, it would change we want to control the speed that people are going through the games. Like rendering issues, got it. All right, so why did it take so long to come out, Todd? And he's like, oh my god, it takes a time for us to develop the game. And he's like, because you're shit at your job.
So a brief sidebar on that first point with the see. So he says like people should maybe update their home consoles, but sorry, their home PC rigs. But the funny thing is, this is like the people who are experiencing problems with Starfield include those people who have the money to have like a 3090 or a 4090 Nvidia card. And the thing is, right? There's there's been a little bit of controversy in that the game is optimized for AMD, not Nvidia, which is the Radeon cards.
Mhm.
And basically like there's like DLSS, which is a game feature that has been really helping graphical performance across the board, is not enabled for Starfield. In fact, people had to try and mod it in
Okay.
to enable it, and that's because DLSS is a feature of NVIDIA products, and AMD doesn't run it.
Mhm.
So and that's kind of why it's not available on Starfield at launch. But it's the fact that he said like, oh yeah, you need to upgrade your PC when people are using the best, like some of the best kit available, and they're still experiencing problems. So it's a misunderstanding. He's either been very disingenuous, which, you know, imagine
Wait
Todd
a
being
minute.
disingenuous.
Wait a
But
minute.
he's either been very
Hold up.
disingenuous or he has completely missed the actual issue.
Well, I think it's obvious what's happened here, and it's fraud is just he's just missed the issue. He's just misunderstood the question. So, but
But
yeah,
yeah, I
the
did see
subtitles
some of
for
that
oh
interview.
my
It was
God.
very pointy.
It was so good. Every question was a banger. Even Phil Spencer was laughing at the vehicle question.
He's probably just he's just happy to get a heat off of himself at the moment, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, well don't worry, Phil. There's a lot more bad guys in the video game space showing their faces right now. They're having their arcs. You can wait for yours. But yeah,
Yeah.
what was the next game on the leak list for them? Because I've heard nothing about this. This is awesome.
So what we've got now is that they've also said that this comes, by the way, courtesy of ZeniMax's management forecasts.
Okay.
Which you know details a lot of games within different financial years.
Mm-hmm.
So next after Oblivion is an Elder Scrolls Online expansion. You know, fair enough. They're continuing to support that. They've also said that there's definitely going to be Starfield DLC.
Not surprised. It's
The
going to be
next
Nuka
one-
World in the skies, boys.
The next one is really interesting because we've heard nothing about this one.
Right.
Doom Year Zero.
Ooh.
So there is another
Alright.
Doom game. Is another Doom game coming courtesy of Bethesda. I do not imagine Mick Gordon will be on board for this one.
Oh, that would be the redemption arc, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I do not imagine, unless they have managed to clear up their animosity outside of game development. I don't think that we'll see a return of him. So yeah, they've said Doom Year Zero and DLC. So they have planned ahead for the fact that they're going to expand on this game. So it's going to be a major Doom title.
Fuck's sake. Also, oh my goodness. Hey, Ronan. Hey, Kino. Hey, guys. Hey, Will. How's everybody doing? It's
Hello.
nice to see you. I've missed everybody
all
in the
filling
chat.
in now.
I know, I've missed having everybody to talk to. It's been great. I've been playing games
We're
of my own.
talking about Microsoft game leaks that have just happened literally an hour ago.
Man, you got sick and stopped messaging, so I just went down a mobile game rabbit hole on my own. It's so nice to have people to talk to. Hey,
Hey.
stuff happened this week, guys. Buckle up.
Oh yeah, you're in for a wild ride. So we've just had announced that there's another Doom game coming out. It's called Doom Year Zero. We don't know if that's a working title or the actual one. Next up, we have two games that they've not really got a title for. They just have project names. I'm not sure what they could be, but maybe you'll have some insight. With your pocket of gaming knowledge.
Maybe your autistic brain can decipher this. Okay.
So first one is Project Kestrel.
Kestrel?
Kestrel, as in the bird of prey.
Okay.
Now, I can't think of any IPs that are like bird of prey focused that Bethesda publishes.
Right. Hear me out. Kestrel? No, that's not Bethesda. No, okay. No, I don't know.
Okay. Next one is Project Platinum, which is equally as cryptic.
Platinum?
So, that could mean anything. That could mean that, it's going to be, it's some, it's some like glitzy RPG. It could be it could be anything. It could also mean that they're planning a collaboration with Platinum Games.
That's where my brain goes immediately, but at the same time, like, what would Bethesda and Platinum collab on?
Exactly. That's what you got to think about, I suppose. now we're into further ahead, kind of pie in the sky stuff. So we've got potentially another DLC for this Doom Year Zero,
Oh Jesus, guys, come on.
and an expansion to whatever Project Kestrel is. There is an there's Elder Scrolls 6 in this particular one, but we have heard that might be happening. I don't
Oh
know, like
mate,
we're not heard anything since that little landscape reveal that we saw way back when Fallout 76 was being announced.
what they are doing the thing like the Friends Die Hard joke. They're like, okay,
Yeah,
if we release Elder Scrolls 5 and then we release it 5 more times, then that's Elder Scrolls 6, right? It's like,
that,
no,
that's how it works, right?
stop selling the Skyrim, Todd. Like, come on to fuck. Like, how much of Starfield do you think was funded by Skyrim? And every time they were like, oh, budget's getting a little low, re-release it, guys. What we got? We
Well,
just have like the
it's
tombola, like, grrr, pull it out.
well, it's
Oh, let's put it on Android.
It's really funny actually because like now I'm thinking, now that you've mentioned that, like that there is a quote from Mr. Howard himself that comes to mind when he was talking about Skyrim, and he was saying he was kind of lamenting that we have like hundreds, thousands of players playing some of our games, playing our games each month, and we have no touch point with
Oh,
them.
bitch ass.
Oh no, Hochi. Um, yeah, so yeah, we have. He says we have no touch point with them. So what that actually means, by the way, in corporate speak, is we cannot make money from these people. So like it is how can we monetize those people? And as the case may be, it turns out that that in in the in its heyday, it was really Skyrim on every platform imaginable.
Yeah, it's the Square Enix model of making money. They're just like, Final Fantasy sold before, so we'll sell it again
Aye,
and again and
yeah,
again and again and again.
and we'll
And that's
carpet
why
bomb them till they're sick of it.
and that's why I own Final Fantasy One, which is not even one of the ones that I like that much, but it's Final Fantasy One on NES, PS1, PSP, mobile, PC on Steam, I think.
Hmm.
Definitely going to get Pixel Remaster at some point, and I'm pretty sure there's another Game Boy. Game Boy. There you go.
Nice. So also in this last little bit, we also have another Elder Scrolls Online expansion. Sure, um, a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, which, as I understand, as far as I remember, is that not the game that was like kind of sort of weird parkour kind of yokai hunting game? Am I thinking of the right thing? And there was a lot
What
of like hand jutsu going on.
the thing that's popping into my mind immediately when you say that name is a dude with an Oni mask, but that could be anything.
That I think that's Ghost Runner, which we got a sequel announced for.
No, 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 not that dude, because that's more like a bio, like cyberpunk Oni mask. I'm talking about like a classical ass Oni mask, like white with
Oh no,
the
you could be
fangs.
right. I'm looking up the picture now. Yeah, I think you are right.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
does
okay,
have an Oni mask.
okay, yeah.
So yeah, there's a sequel to that coming. I thought I was
Sure.
under the impression that underperformed.
Same, but like we are operating on almost the video game equivalent to Netflix here. Stuff isn't going to get a sequel that deserves it. We're not getting a new Killer Instinct. We're just going to keep supporting the old one. But like this weird Ghostwire game that had like a niche following. Yeah, fuck it. We'll make a full dev for a sequel. Why not?
Okay, two left. So first is Fallout 3 Remastered.
Oh no, they're no. Come on,
And
stop it.
I I fucking hate Fallout 3. I actually I enjoy I
Oh
did
what?
enjoy I did enjoy a good bit of it. Like there were elements of it that I enjoyed. The enjoyable parts of the game were they were kind of fairly well spaced out, and there were a couple of places on the map where it clustered a few of them together, and there was just wide empty space everywhere else. Um, and we also the other big problem I have with Fallout 3 is its ending, which is a pile of shit.
Here's the thing, right? I can't remember much about Fallout 3 because any time I try and think about Fallout 3, all that pops into my head is fucking what's her cooking, Moira, and she's just like, "Oh well, I'm gonna need you to go and blow your legs off with a landmine for my book." It's like, what the fuck? What kind of book are you
Yeah,
writing?
indestructible Moira, by the way, because see if you decide to actually bomb the like set off the bomb in the starting town,
Yeah,
you come back later and she's a ghoul.
she's a fucking rad roach, is what she is.
Yeah, you come back later and she's a ghoul, so her quest line isn't actually interrupted by you bombing for you bombing Megaton at the start.
She's like, listen, man, I'm going to write this book one way or the other. God damn,
I don't care
amazing.
what state I am when I'm finished.
The only thing I'm hearing when you say that they're going to milk Fallout 3 now is that we are definitely going to get a New Vegas remaster or something at some point. It seems kind of inevitable if they're like sitting milking the teats of Fallout now. Oh, look, the Skyrim cow's gone all thin and fallen over, but that Fallout cow, that's still sitting pretty. Not the
Yeah,
Fallout
we had
76 cow. That one's sick.
yeah. Well, well, I mean, it would be Brahmins, wouldn't it? The
Uh,
two-headed things.
well, uh, no, he's got a point. He's got a point.
So, so yeah, yeah, massive problems with Fallout 3 personally, but I'm sure that, there's enough people out there who like it who are probably excited by that news.
Oh, it was better than 4. It was better than 4. Oh, look, the old man's my baby. The old man's my baby. Oh, look at this one. This android has feelings. Shouldn't he be president? Oh, fucking go away.
Did you ever play the old like the pre-Bethesda Fallout games?
I watched
The,
playthroughs of them, but I didn't. By the time I realised that they were like basically Jagged Alliance, I didn't have a PC. But I would have loved to play them. They look like my kind of thing.
yeah, they're basically like a CRPG, like Baldur's Gate or Pillars of Eternity, things like that.
Yeah.
And and they were absolutely fantastic. The whole VAT system, the thing that they brought in for they kind of built Fallout 3 on essentially. That was something that was in place from Fallout 1. You could choose to shoot someone in a certain place. If you were entering combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it sometimes would make a difference. And the thing is, like, there's one, another thing that kind of shows you how far the decision making and the branching paths go in Fallout 1 is as far as I know, I think it's Fallout 1. You can do this at the very beginning of the game. You are given a combat tutorial. You can talk your way through that encounter.
Nice.
You can end that encounter by talking to that NPC, and without initiating combat, you pass the encounter on speech alone.
That's pretty amazing. I'll return
Yeah.
to the search area. See, I like stuff like
And
that. Things that actually have meaning in the choices, and it's not like a Telltale game where it's like your meanings have choices. No, they don't. It just changes the dialogue, and the ending's always going to be one of two things.
the Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot of that. There's a lot of choices that actually seem to matter. I harken back to games like this where, like your OG BioWare games and your like Mass Effects and things like that. But I think on an even greater scale. And the final game on our list is one that again, it's a bit niche, but it's going to have its fans. Dishonored 3.
Oh, really?
There is a third Dishonored game in the works.
Well, good for them. You know what? People spoke highly of them. I saw my flatmate playing the first one, and it looked like absolute jank. But he did play it on my account, so that means I need to platinum it now. So I'll let you know what I think about Dishonored when I'm done.
Sound.
Yeah, I've got a few games to be talking about later on today, but we'll get on to all that because there's so much stuff to talk about.
As do I.
If that is the end of the games list, that means that we can go on to the quickfire console round. Because part of the leaks that came out of Microsoft was also their plans for future consoles. And
Indeed.
I don't like them. I'm very scared.
Oh, right, okay. How so?
So basically, the patents that have been revealed or the names that have been revealed, it's not a new generation or like new hardware or anything like that. They're basically just re-releasing.
Watch out, Norio's bleeding.
Yeah, they're basically just re-releasing Series X and S with, some updates. Now the re-release of the consoles that they're planning don't have any improved hardware. It's all the exact same stuff that's inside the boxes. They come with the next generation controllers, which I think are modular and have some extra features. I don't really know, but yeah, the only standout feature that I've noticed from either of them is neither models come with a disc drive. They are digital only, which in a ever increasing world of game preservation, like debacles and just it doesn't happen. That's a very worrying sign that Microsoft are wanting to push entirely into digital. At which point, any game you buy, you don't own. Microsoft still own that. You're renting it from them, and if they decide at any point in time, well, we don't want to put Afro Samurai on the store anymore because it sucks, they can just not only can they take it off the store so you can't get access to it, they can like remotely remove it from your console, which is what happened with Afro Samurai, if you remember that in the PS3 era.
Well, we're going to be seeing, just quite soon. Actually, we're going to be seeing an instance of that happening right now because that terrible Marvel's Avengers game is going to be delisted soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. People put money into that, son. People put a lot of money into that Marvel shells that were like, yeah, Iron Man.
Because it was a micro purchase ridden hellscape.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. So we're going to be seeing that quite soon with that. But when you buy a game digitally, what you are buying is a license to that game. Fair enough. If you took that to its logical conclusion, you could feasibly own a copy of it legally, but you've only purchased the license, and if the platform that gave you that license no longer exists or no longer hosts that title, you can't get it.
Think about it, right? Big tragedy in the world. The internet goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you only have small, localized pockets of electricity, no internet connection, so you're back to just doing whatever you've got on disk. What are you left with? What are you playing, guys? What are you playing right now? I've got Armored Core, FF16, and all my PS4 and 3 games to fall back on. And like a whole bunch of historical DS, 3DS, Game Boy, PSP, all physical stuff that I've held on to for years so that if I ever want to go back to... Man, one of the games I've got set up that I'm playing the most right now is a PS2 game that you got me, because it's like...
I did.
Because it's physical, it's not available in any capacity digitally at all.
Yeah.
And the only way you can play that game, that glorious, glorious game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the GOAT, is by having the physical. So yeah, like it's scary to think that Microsoft might be pushing us into a world where that option isn't even an option, and you could just be buying game cases with game codes in them now, which is already a practice that started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's that's how things are looking for Team Green. I do understand and I like the idea of having a choice. Like I like, for example, what PlayStation did, where they basically gave us an option to have a digital only console.
Mm.
for slightly less money.
Mm.
And for some, for some people, that's going to be, that's going to be the kind of that's going to be their best choice because maybe they don't have access to, the the means to which to buy games in a store or maybe they don't have they don't have the option to like order things, or maybe they're just a little bit strapped to cash and that extra 50 quid to get the disc drive version, they just can't swing it.
Oh man, that was one of the questions in that interview that I forgot to mention. It's like, hey, so what do you think about Game Pass killing game sales?
That's
Oh,
amazing.
it was so good, so good.
Well, yeah. There's an interesting parallel to like kind of one of our bigger stories tonight, the Unity thing with Game Pass, which I don't know if people have really thought about, but it does have an interesting connotation. Um,
We'll get
okay,
into that.
so what?
I have a few more light-hearted things before we get into the heavy-duty
Yes, let's
ones.
do it. Let's do
And
it.
one of them is something that I think you'll be very interested in. I think it's
Hmm.
very cool, and it's also in theme with the topic of game preservation.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know if you heard about this. I only just randomly stumbled on it the other day. I was watching a video about lost Pokemon games.
Mm.
Games that were never released or were never developed. Like, some of them are fully completed games that were never released. Some of them are just concepts that never got made or never got put through. I'm sure some of them you'll be familiar with even. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we had the where am I going? Oh, I'm like nowhere near this shit. I thought it was this place he was telling me to go to. No, it's the place that's on fire. Right, okay, with you now. So, for example, did you know that there is in the game codes for Pokemon games, like see the new ones that come out, they
Mm-hmm.
all have text and code that references every Pokemon game ever released for the purposes of like the Pokedex and bank and transfer and Pokemon and stuff like that. So people have been
Yeah.
cracking them open and seeing what some of the file names have been and matching them with the released games. And we've noticed that there is some amazing things that have just been lost to time. For example, did you know Pokemon Yellow was supposed to launch with a counterpart game?
Really?
Yeah, there
What?
are files still to be found for Pokemon Pink.
Okay.
And the theory is that Pokemon Pink was supposed to target a girl audience, which was
Okay.
something that Nintendo really wanted to capture back in the 90s. But it also would have had Clefairy as its cover Pokemon. And the idea was that where Yellow followed the events of the TV series really closely,
Mm-hmm.
with like Team Rocket and Ash and Misty and all that, the Pink was supposed to more closely follow the events of the manga. So it
Yeah.
would have had Red traveling with Clefairy.
Yeah, that's right, because Clefairy was originally meant to be the central mascot Pokemon.
Yeah. But even further than that, mentioned in an interview, and there was a file found somewhere deep, deep, deep in an archive, but there was never anything made for this or anything planned further. But there has also been the name Pokemon Purple circulated,
Mm.
and the working theory is that Pokemon Purple's main character would have been Jigglypuff, and that is the reason that at the time, while choosing characters for a Smash game, such weird choices as Pikachu and Jigglypuff would have been put forward. It was supposed to be a tie-in for Pokemon Purple, but that never happened.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
So there you go. Moving on from that, there was files found for Pokemon Grey, which was a big rumor that everybody was going around for Black and White. There was supposed to be a Grey.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a Grey, but something happened to it. Zygarde kind of went underutilized for the longest of times, and as a result, we ended up with Black and White 2, which was a super weird choice. But hey,
Yeah, because they didn't bring Zygarde into until like X and Y generation.
Yeah, and the ones that where he was supposed to be a thing, he was just like in a cave, just randomly, not any lore to him. He was just there.
No,
Oh, hey.
he just hung about.
Yeah. There was also some stuff found for Pokemon Z, which was,
Hmm.
the XY companion that everybody expected.
Yeah, and that would have been the Zygarde edition, right?
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
yeah,
so there was a lot of data found for Pokemon Z. That never happened. Instead, we ended up with the Sun and Moon or whatever. And yeah, there's a lot of things. But one of the things that was also uncovered was, check this out. This is a cool little bit of history. Back in the year 2000, there was
hmm,
a little movie that came out called Pokemon 2000. It was the second Pokemon movie that was released, and it was released under Warner Brothers.
hmm.
Now, Pokemon Company and Nintendo, I guess, decided that they would give all of the marketing and distribution rights to Warner Brothers and allow them to make their own promotional materials as long as they were in keeping with, Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that one of the people that they had on staff at the time was really good at making essentially Doom likes. So little
Hmm.
3D environments with 2D sprite art hidden throughout them that were interactable.
Okay.
So this guy got to work, and in I believe it was 1999 or like early 2000s, it was released as part of the promotional material, and it got over 1 million downloads in 1 month, which you got to realize back in those days that probably was like close to how many people had a computer to download something on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got over 1 million downloads. It was actually so popular that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company contacted the Warner Brothers marketing team and said that they had overshot their contract. They'd basically
Yeah.
done something that too closely resembled a good game, so they could not have it out there because they would think it would confuse people and make them think that this was the direction. Oh, that's the guy I'm with.
That's
This was the
Norio, yeah.
direction. Yeah, so they were worried that people would see this and think this is the direction that Pokemon's moving in the future. So it was
Mm.
essentially a Pokemon Safari game that played a lot like Doom, where you were going through this environment, but you were just randomly encountering Pokemon, like a big sleeping Snorlax or whatever, and you would like feed it or throw it little like Pokeballs and try and capture it and get some Pokedex entries for it. And the whole thing looked quite charming. So unfortunately, it was taken down. But the guys at Warner Brothers had already been paid. They didn't care. But 23 years later, I think it was yesterday, that
Right.
guy who made the game released the files.
Nice.
So a lost Pokemon game from 23 years ago has finally been re-released on the internet, and it is playable now.
Okay.
Takes about
Well, restored to history.
Yeah, takes about 10, 15 minutes to play. The files have been backed up, so if they try and take it down again, it will always exist in some medium somewhere. But yeah, it's a lost Pokemon game has been restored on the internet and is available to play now. I don't know the name of it, but I'm sure you'd be able to find out if you just did a wee Google for it. Or it was Upper Echelon Gaming that did a video on it. Um,
Oh, nice, yeah.
so check them out if you want more details and to see how to get your hands on it and play it yourself.
Cool. I suppose that kind of leads us neatly on to maybe Nintendo Direct next.
Yeah, that seems like a logical step. And hey, man, we're getting pretty good at this.
Yeah, we are. We're segueing strongly.
Let's get a flow
We're back on form because we've had some unintended time away from stream,
and some slow
and
news weeks before that. God damn.
yep, yeah, and we've been seeing things happening. We've been thinking. We know how we want to talk about it, I guess. So there was a Nintendo Direct. There was a state of play later that day. So we're going to try and get through as much of it as we can. Um, so so with Nintendo Direct, I'm just going to pick out the highlights because there are some games in here that they'll probably fall under underneath most people's radar and probably aren't that important. Um,
All I want to know, farming sims, were there any?
what you mean? You mean cozy games?
Were there any? cozy farming sims shown at this presentation? I need to know. Were there
There,
tools in the ground?
there were absolutely toes in the ground.
Oh,
Yep. Several cozy games were announced. So the first announcement, and I'm gonna talk about this one just briefly. Nintendo are opening a museum.
I am shocked that they don't already have one.
Yeah, so they're opening the Nintendo Gallery Museum, and it's on track to be completed for March 2024. And it's an old plant in Kyoto that is being converted into the museum, and it has a big like Super Mario Bros. Brown question mark block painted on the roof
Sure,
that you can see that is big enough to be seen from the air.
sure. Charles Martinet is going to get put in a glass box in there.
Yeah, they're gonna give him. They're gonna give him breaks and like take him out and feed him and stuff, but yeah, for most times he's going to be in the box.
Oh, actually, small segue before we get into the Nintendo Direct. I hate to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so. He was fired.
He was fired.
Charles Martinet was just let go. He had no fucking idea what was happening. It was not discussed. The Nintendo ambassador thing, he found out the same time we did. He doesn't know what that means. He's not getting paid for it. He has got no clue why this happened. And all of this was said by him, by the man himself, to the Angry Joe team while they were working a convention together.
Damn.
So, yeah, he's got no clue why this happened. It was not a consensual decision. He wanted to keep being Mario forever. They said, nah, he doesn't know what an ambassador is. It's not a paid position. It's not anything. It's just something, it's a PR spin, and everybody just went with it.
Oh, that actually really sucks. Because from the way that it was being framed, and I suppose this is probably something for something to say for the the way that it was framed. It seemed like such a nice thing.
I was
like
always
the way that
skeptical.
yeah, the way that they put it out, it seemed like such a nice thing that they were somehow like, although he wasn't doing Mario's voice anymore, they were immortalizing him within the Mario, within Mario as an entity. And that seemed really, really nice. It just came across, oh, maybe that's him just reached retirement age. But apparently not. If that's what he'd said to Joe and the guys.
Nah, dog. We want rid of this old man, but we know everybody likes him. Well, how do we do it? I don't know. Let's just do it and just say that he is always going to be a part of things, and like foundation, blah blah blah. He's allowed to do the voice at conventions. I don't know. Just get him the fuck out of here, man. And they were like, okay, sir, and that's it. Charles is out.
So the kind of next kind of big one, there was like we do have like WarioWare. There was a new WarioWare trailer. The next kind of big one for me anyway, as a kind of RPG fan, was the Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is the spiritual successor to the Suikoden games.
Suikoden, nice.
Yeah, so that game's spiritual successor it is coming out the day before my birthday on April 23rd.
Here's a small fun fact for everybody. There was a guy who was live streamed in a house in the 90s or the early 2000s from Japan. I believe it was Japan. Where he had to like fill in magazines, and the idea was that he wasn't allowed out the house until he'd won a certain prize threshold of magazine winnings, and he just had to survive on what he won. And one of the things that he won was a PlayStation and a special edition of Suikoden, which he played on that stream for 3 days, which means technically this guy was the first ever live streamer, and Suikoden was the first ever live stream game.
Nice.
So there you go. Technically.
Nice. Next up was probably the winner of the best title that was announced, like best title for a game, Unicorn Overlord.
Sick. I'm in.
Yeah, it's made by Vanillaware, which is the people who made a game called 13 Sentinels, which was apparently quite good,
I think
and
I've heard of that. Yeah.
it's been added to PS Extra this month. So if we want to find out if it's good or not, we can always have a look at it.
Was it made on Unity? That's all I need to know.
Yeah, that's the problem. But as an aside, like, did you see Devolver Digital's post that saying like, oh yeah, in any pitches that you send to us in the future, please include the engine that you're using. It's very important information.
Yeah, I did actually see that, and
Which
they're
is a
not wrong.
thinly veiled way. It's a veiled way of them saying we are not going to greenlight any Unity projects until this is all blown over.
Yeah, yeah, no, we'll get into that later, guys. But strap in.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that looks cool. It's kind of like a sort of more like sprite animation type version of things like Fire Emblem. That's what this Unicorn Overlord looks like. It's a tactical RPG type game. Saga Emerald, that's one of Square's really weird project, really sort of underground properties. I would say it's getting a new game. So there was some new amiibo updates. We got a Sora amiibo now, as well as the Tears of the Kingdom Thirst Trap Ganondorf.
Jeez.
There's a new Detective Pikachu game, which is actually coming really soon. It's coming out on October the 6th. Not voiced by Ryan Reynolds, sadly.
Oh, he's too busy at Wrexham playing football.
Next up was the last wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe season pass stuff.
Did you see Mario,
Mario,
the plumber of Dojima?
Itsumi,
Itsumi
Mario. So yeah, we there's four new racers coming to it: Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and whoever Peachette is.
Oh no, I predict a whole wave of sexy cosplays hitting the internet very soon. It's going to be the Bowsette thing all over again. God damn it.
Next thing is a game that I've heard nothing but good things about, Dave the Diver. Have you heard of this?
No.
So it's getting a release on Switch on October 26th, and it's a really unique little game. It's a game of two halves, really.
Oh, it's football. Nice.
No,
I get it now. I understand.
No, so your character Dave, during the day, in the game, you're diving to catch fish and explore reefs and do like the underwater Subnautica exploration type thing.
Right.
And then by night, it's a restaurant management sim where you serve sushi.
Pause. Huh?
So
hold up.
One half exploratory underwater sim, one half restaurant management sim.
So you're telling me Dave the Diver is just a restaurant manager who is so tight in his budget that he's away out sourcing his materials himself to cut down on his income, like his outgoing for like food? That's not how you run a restaurant.
Well, he's clearly a savvy and a passionate person.
Nah, he's just
doing
frugal.
it all himself. He's doing it all himself.
He's just frugal. He just doesn't want to hire anybody. He's like, I don't get it. Nobody's can do it.
But no, it looks good. It's got this sort of like weird lo-fi pixel art thing going on, and yeah, like people like that sort of thing.
They do.
And it looks like it looks like a kind of a nice non-stressful game. Nintendo seem to have cornered the market on these sort of games, where it's like, you know, they can produce a game that you can just curl up with, as we say, like a cozy game.
Yeah,
They seem to have cornered the market on these kind of games.
I mean, I think that's where they belong. In all
Yeah,
honesty, you know, they've always positioned themselves as the family-friendly game, even though they are absolute evil monsters. But it's always been a thing where Nintendo have always been the kings of the handheld market, and
yeah.
you know the home console market's handled by the big that's the big bro studios that are doing that. Little bro can just sit in the back of the car and play his handhelds.
Well, I mean that's you know, like you could put it that way, but you can also put it like Nintendo have just always done their own thing. That they've not really cared or been too concerned with what the other major game platforms are doing. They're just set on doing their thing.
Well, I mean, they don't really have competition when you think about it. They've got like Sony has Microsoft, right? Sony in Japan, Microsoft in America.
Yep.
Classic matchup. Whereas,
hmm
what is the equivalent to Nintendo? There isn't really like it used to be Sega, but you know Nintendo ate them.
Well, they do have like, you know, like they do have like other party developers on board at Nintendo. I mean, like, there are like game, you know, like people like Monolith Soft, the guys who make the Xenoblade games. So they don't make games on any other platforms. It's just Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean Nintendo have a history of putting out banger RPGs. You know that's where Final Fantasy spawned.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
But it's what I'm saying is like there isn't. You go out to the store looking for a serious home console, you're either buying Japanese or American. You go out looking for a nice casual console that you can curl up and play your cozy games with, you are buying Japanese, sir. There is no
Yep.
competitor in that space. So,
Yep.
you know, they don't have to compete with Sony and Microsoft because they're competing with each other. These guys, Nintendo are playing their own game. And until somebody else can bring out something that is just as good for just throwing on playing, you know, 20, 30 minutes of a farming sim and then going to
Yeah.
sleep. I don't think they have to even think about what anybody else is doing.
I must say that the Steam Deck probably made them sweat for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but that's again that's more like I would say that's a spiritual successor, like a PSP or something like that. You know, where it was a serious game handheld.
Okay, next game that we have is super weird, and I remember messaging you about it when I saw it because I was just pissing myself laughing. It's a game called Trombone Champ. And it is
Yeah, not impressed.
it is a rhythm game in which you use the Joy-Cons to mime a trombone and play music. Everything sounds like ever so slightly out of tune, and I just thought it was really funny. Like it doesn't. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't look good, but it looks really, really funny. It looks like the sort of thing that you could get. You could get an hour or two of enjoyment out of it if you had some friends and possibly some alcohol.
Listen, my boy, if you're going to come at me in the year of our Lord 2023 with a rhythm game and you do not have the good grace to present a squeaky Fisher-Price plastic instrument for me to break by playing it enthusiastically, I don't care. I would rather go and buy Donkey Konga.
See, Nintendo have tried that though. They've done the whole selling as hunks of plastic to stick on our Wiimotes.
Hey, I
No,
bought some of those hunks of plastic, alright? The light gun ones were great.
And just now that I mention it, you know how like there's been all the rumors that there was a new Nintendo console, you know, about to be announced. Spoilers, by the way, the Nintendo Direct has nothing about a new console. But one of the things that if I recall correctly, one of the things that was quite interesting that was coming out of that discussion is that Nintendo have filed a patent for a sort of magnetic joystick assembly.
Okay.
So it's going to basically it's going to be like it's going to be like magnetic sensors that are in the control stick, and thereby completely eliminating any possibility of drift.
That's good. That was their biggest problem with the Switch.
Absolutely, it still is. People are still buying new Joy-Cons and getting drift. And like aftermarket controllers are really the only way to go with a Switch now if you want to have any comfort of playing. Or the Pro Controller. The Pro Controller is okay. Pro Controller is okay, but it's expensive. So next up we had Super Mario RPG Remake got a new trailer, and it's coming out on November 17th.
Looks good. Good date.
Yep. We had another look at Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which also got a release date. I'm struggling to find exactly what it was, but it did get a release date at the end of the trailer.
Don't cancel
January
me.
18th.
Don't cancel me. I think he looks like Killmonger. Can't unsee it.
It does look like Killmonger. It's really weird. So it looks fine. I mean, like looking at the actual gameplay, it has like a sort of almost like, I would say, Castlevania kind of look to it.
Metroid Dread.
Yeah, that too. But it has that sort of like fast-paced explory game look to it, and I'm quite into that.
Yeah, the combat looks like it's very reactionary, flashy, big flippy dippy, lots of flashing lights and letting you know that you've perfect dodged or perfect countered something.
Next up was Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 DLC specifically, and kind of a weird choice. As far as I know, the DLC that they showed, which was called Side Order, is single player.
Okay, I didn't know that it had single player.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought. Like, I thought like that. Splatoon, the whole point of it was to do multiplayer because that's where it thrives. But yeah, apparently this new DLC is a single player one.
Okay, I mean, for the people that play Splatoon, great. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it's about to get knocked off the top spot by Foam Stars, baby. 8 characters in Foam Stars. Oh my god.
Foam Stars, also known as We Have Splatoon at Home.
Foam Stars, also known as Straight People Splatoon, according to Twitter.
Oh my god. Next up, a remaster announcement for Luigi's Mansion 2. I think is that the only one that hasn't been remastered? Because we had a re-release of one, I'm pretty sure, on the Switch.
Good.
Am I right in saying that?
Could
Probably.
not tell you.
But it's coming out next summer. Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, and we're talking original PS1. Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 are coming out on Valentine's Day 24 on the Switch.
Oh,
remastered.
that's Lara's birthday.
So yeah, it is. So that's when it's coming out. They've all been given like a fresh coat of paint.
That's kind of cute. That's actually kind of sweet. They're bringing it out on her birthday.
And apparently they're going to include expansions and secret levels.
Oh, cool.
And you can as a final like kind of nice touch, I thought you can toggle between the updated and original polygon.
I like it when games do that.
Yeah, you can just freely go between them apparently.
Yeah, like that. Diablo 2 had a similar thing. There you go,
That's
Vampire
cool.
Survivors. Oh, you got Vampire Survivors? Nice. See, if
I've recently 100%ed Vampire Survivors on the mobile version.
That's not normal, man. That's not normal.
It's not normal.
Do you have the DLC?
Yeah, I've finished it all.
It's not normal to have done that. That's not. You started that after me.
I did, yeah.
I'm like, no, man, no.
Man, I don't know what to say. Like, something about that game, something about Vampire Survivors for me, something just clicked. I just really like that game. I really love what I really love what they've done with it. And yeah, it turns out I'm accidentally good at it.
Yeah,
I've
nah, yeah, this isn't okay.
Isn't
I,
okay.
I think you need like an intervention. There's so much content
Yeah.
in this game. There's so much content in the game. There's so much, and you can only if you're playing on mobile. Turns out you can play multiplayer on mobile. You just have to connect controllers to your phone. But anyway, the mobile
Right.
version is largely single player. It's entirely single player. So that means
Yeah.
that you, when you were doing those unlocks, could only
Hmm.
do X amount at a time, and towards the end, it would have been one. So that means that you did at least 30-minute runs every time you wanted to unlock something. Everyone, like, how, you started after me.
And as I say, my answer to that would be is I make a lot of train journeys and they're roughly 30 minutes long.
That's one game.
One game each way.
That's still not enough.
And besides, if you're playing on hurry mode, with hurry mode enabled, it's only 15 minutes.
Ah, there you go. There's the tech. I don't know if you've played the Switch version, but I'd say that it's actually worth. If you enjoyed the mobile version, I'd say it's worth getting the Switch version because it is the superior version. The different aspect ratio on the screen makes a huge difference, and they've added in little extra things that are exclusive to the Switch. For example, you unlock a music choice, and I don't know if that's in the mobile version, but you unlock a music selection, and
Uh-huh.
there is an entire soundtrack of all of the DLC songs, but redone with kazoos.
Nice. I think you do get music select on the mobile version as well. I don't know if it has that on it, but I know that you can select music at the start of the level in this one. Um, but yeah, yeah. So something about this game is great, and I can now that I have went all the way through it and got all the characters and did all the achievements and the secrets and stuff. I'd be happy to buy it on the Switch again.
Well, the thing is, you get it on the Switch, you've already got two controllers because you only need one Joy-Con to play it, right? So
Oh, nice.
that's you able to play co-op right away with the
Hmm.
better half. Get
Hmm.
get somebody else absolutely hooked on it, and then we
I've
can all
been,
just sit around and talk about how great Marabio is.
but yeah, yeah. That's kind of one of my, I suppose, recent kind of gaming things that's happened. Um, the um, where were we at? So yeah, next thing that we had on the direct was something that was kind of teased at the last direct, which was the Princess Peach game,
Oh
which we now know is called Princess Peach Showtime, and it's been released in March. And the apparently it seems to be a sort of I don't know. It's a kind of weird mix up of basically. I suppose the kind of the closest thing I can maybe refer to it is like they've sort of done Peach in this game like Barbie, where she steps into various different roles, but she's still Peach. You
oh,
know,
what?
like so you'll have a section where you're playing her as like a sword fighter, or like a kung fu monk, or she's very small and on a giant piping bag icing a cake, and like it seems to like jump between like all these different like costumes that she gets to put on.
Do you think that this is just going to be like a costume gacha thing, and they're going to have DLC where they're just going to sell you
Nah,
hundreds and hundreds of costume packs?
absolutely not. No, I think that because of the way they've framed Peach in the movie, which we saw recently, and by the way, awesome. they kind of framed Peach as a bit of a butt kicker in the in the movie. Um, they're gonna want to give her the spotlight. Given that this is like kind of one of the, I think there's been a Super Princess Peach game before. I'm pretty sure there's been at least one, but they've been very few and far between. So I think they're going to probably take this quite seriously. I don't really see there being, because the costumes are a core mechanic of the game. I don't see them being monetized.
Mm-hmm.
They might do. I don't know. Maybe they'll have alternate ones available to buy. But Nintendo don't seem to additionally monetize their content, that their core mascot content, other than like things like expansion packs, expansion passes, and like kind of standalone DLCs.
Yeah.
Like for example, you wouldn't see like the only Mario game with micro purchases is the horrific the horrific Mario Kart game that's on the phones.
The Plumber of Dojima. One icon.
So yeah, I am. So that's coming out in March. The next announcement gave me the biggest blue balls of all time. This was it pulls in. I'll paint you the picture.
All right.
It fades into color, showing a track and a single blue spaceship racing across that track. And it's in pixel art.
Okay.
They are releasing the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo F-Zero, on Nintendo Switch, but it is a 99-player battle royale version.
Sure.
Words cannot express my disappointment. In fact, I remember sitting there and saying, like, turning to Emma and saying, if the next announcement is a fully polished next generation F-Zero game, all is forgiven. I remember saying that. I remember it, like that. This is bullshit. But if the next announcement is a new F-Zero game, all is forgiven, and nothing. That's all we get. That's all the F-Zero fans get after 20 fucking years since the last main game. It was on the Nintendo GameCube, F-Zero GX,
Oh, I remember
2003.
that. I remember that. I was there.
20 years.
Yeah, well, you know what? Captain
Fucking
Falcon.
disgrace.
Captain Falcon doesn't have the brand appeal that it used to. So what we're going to do, we're going to give it the Uno and the Tetris 99 treatment and see if we can scrape some interest out of it that way. Maybe it'll go viral. Maybe people will know who Captain Falcon is again. Maybe we'll make a new one. I don't know.
If they do make a new one, they will probably bring him back redesigned without his metal nipple caps.
Ah, nah, he needs those. He needs the nipple caps. He needs to be basically like...
He won't lunge or pause or say, yes, anymore.
He needs to be... So you know how like we commonly meme about things being other things Wario?
Yeah.
Captain Falcon needs to be Judge Dredd's Mario.
Right. So you want the 2000 AD F-Zero crossover.
I basically want him to be like Judge Dredd, but if he was eternally happy. And just like constantly in a good mood and just everything's colour, but he never takes the helmet off and he's always super serious about racing.
You've been found guilty. The sentence is to race.
Yeah, and then he like throws up like a peace sign and like a colour explosion behind him. He gets some like uwu eyes on his mask. It'd be great.
Yeah. There are, I mean, like Kino's quite right. There are clones of F-Zero out there, that there's like, kind of other competitor games, things like Wipeout. I was never that into Wipeout. I thought it was a bit dull and characterless.
I liked it.
Um, the that Redout 2 looks pretty good. That's probably the closest thing we're going to get to a current generation F-Zero game. Um, but yeah, you're quite right, Beeb. Our buddy Cam is going to be upset as well at this, I would imagine. Um, but yeah, a 99 player battle royale. What are they thinking? I mean, suppose as again as Beeb's saying, if it gets popular, maybe we get more F-Zero, but that's a big maybe.
I mean, that's
You know,
generally how it goes, right? They never want
yeah.
to go all in on something unless they are absolutely sure that there's interest for it.
Uh-huh.
But
But I mean, like there was a guy like last year. I think we probably talked about it on stream. There was a guy last year who literally bought enough shares in Nintendo that he was allowed to sit on a board meeting, and the one and only question that he asked was, "When is the next F-Zero game coming out?"
th- I did not know about this. That is amazing.
Yeah,
That guy's
yeah,
got
there
some
is.
big old balls.
Yep, there was a guy that he literally he bought enough Nintendo shares to be allowed to sit in and ask a question on the board meeting, and he asked about F-Zero, and they said that they had no plans.
Okay, all right. You are on the board for Nintendo. You get to ask one question. What's your
Right.
one
Okay.
question to Nintendo?
Um. Right. That's a huge question. Because I mean, well, I think maybe 6 months ago it might have been going to release Mario RPG again, but they've kind of done that.
Yeah, they preempted you.
Yeah. I suppose like my question would be about my question would probably be about F-Zero, or it would be about Metroid Prime 4. I would just be asking what's happening with it.
Okay, all right.
We've not heard anything in ages.
I think I would get up on the table like an animal and scuttle down it and get as close into the face of the president as I possibly could. And I would just be like, why have you not made the Pokemon Company do some work?
Yeah, why haven't Game Freak been laid off like en masse?
Do you know
You
when I
want to
was
save
watching
money?
when I was watching that video, I found out how Pokemon games are made.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what the development cycle for a Pokemon game is?
I mean, I imagine it's got to be fairly like quick and succinct because the deadlines that they hold them to are ridiculous.
Right, okay, Sun and Moon, right?
Hmm.
How much time were they allotted? How many staff were they given?
Okay, so I'm gonna say, like, thinking about this, like, Sun and Moon were hot on the heels of uh, X and Y. Comparatively speaking, I think it was only like a couple of years, if that, between them. So I'm gonna say that they were probably only given a year
A year?
and a year's development, and it was maybe. I'm trying to think like how many staff Game Freak have. It's probably going to be under 1,000, right?
Under 1,000 staff?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So how many did they actually have?
Got any guesses in chat?
Yeah. Any guesses as how many people made Sun and Moon?
And this is the regular like development cycle for these guys. It explains so
Right.
much when you hear it.
Okay, so let's hold off on the actual number just now.
Right.
Hold off on the actual number just now. Tell us how long it took them.
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Pokemon games have a 2-year dev cycle.
Okay. I suppose that makes sense. I kind of saw it as more of a rushed process, especially in recent years. But that's just because of the quality they've been putting out, which has been abysmal.
Mm-hmm. So no, it makes 2 years it takes 2 years to make shit like what we're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, it takes what 6 years to give us Diablo 4, but also Baldur's Gate 3. So what does that mean?
Kino's saying 500 devs on Pokemon.
500 devs.
You were saying just under 1,000.
I was gonna say, yeah, I would say if you want to put a number on it, just so that I can fit on the scale somewhere, I'm gonna say 850.
I can put it down to the person.
Okay.
Like, I can tell you the exact number of developers that worked on the game.
Beeb says, not a chance it'll be less than 100.
Not a chance it'll be less than 100. Alright, I think that's the main voters in chat. Are you ready for the big reveal?
Let's do it.
How many people worked on Sun and Moon?
For 2 years.
For 2 years, how many people worked on Sun and Moon? Was it 500?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 1,000? Or was it no less than 100? But not more than the other ones. Price is Right rules.
Right.
Well, are you ready? Do you want to revise your answer?
Nope, I'm good.
No? Alright, do you think it's higher or lower than 1,000? You think it's lower than 1,000 straight away, right?
Yes.
Okay, do you think it's higher or lower than 500?
Higher.
Higher? No.
No?
No, it's much lower. Much lower.
Oh, much lower, okay.
Much lower. Do you think it's less or more than 100?
More.
No.
Surely.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh, God.
No, not at all. Not at all. Alright, I will give you... I can give you as a percentage of 100 or as an exact figure. Do you want to know how many people
that would be about the same, wouldn't it?
It would be. Do you want it? So, out of 100 devs, we asked 100 devs, did you work on Pokemon? And only, drumroll, fucking 12.
What?
12 devs worked on Sun and Moon.
I beg your fucking pardon?
12 people make these games. And that is normal.
That is 12 people who need to seek new employment.
There are 2 teams, and for a few years, one of the teams said that they really wanted to do something that wasn't Pokemon. They think they could make something that's just as big and interesting but totally different, and they were getting bored of making Pokemon games. So they pissed off, and for about 5 years they were developing games that absolutely fucking nobody played because they sucked. And then came crawling on back. They are the reason, these guys going away and wanting to do different things are the reason that we didn't get like Grey and Z.
Right, okay.
So yeah, 12 dudes were left behind to make the next Pokemon games, and they did their damnedest in those 2 years that they were allocated. And yeah, that's apparently totally normal. I've lost where I'm supposed to be going.
It's pretty astonishing, really, but like it's also awful on those 12 people.
Honestly, lads, Sun and Moon genuinely the better of the games. I mean, the 12 people that make them still care, but it is only 12 people for 2 years that make an entire Pokemon game, the biggest money-making entertainment franchise in the world. Yeah, and 12 dudes. 12 dudes.
Yep.
You could learn their names. The fact that there is credits in a Pokemon game is wild. Who are the people that make up the credits? Because it's not the developers, and like these figures are coming from the development teams themselves, ex-developers that used to work there. The ones that are there are under like extreme lock and key. They're not allowed to talk about nothing. But the ones that have left and managed to escape, they're coming out the woodworks and exposing it like it's the Mormon church, and they're just they're painting a horrifying picture of just like, there we go, the craziest working conditions of like, okay, we're supposed to put out the next Nintendo console selling game. Let's put, I don't know, Dave, Jerry, Oh, I don't know. Put that fucking intern kid. I don't know his name. Like, I don't know. We'll hire like two new guys.
Who's the boy that gets the coffee? We can bring him in.
Yeah, I guess I'll lead it. I guess I'm not doing anything for the next 2 years. I guess. And yeah, and then it gets put out, and everyone's just like, "Oh, brilliant new Pokemon game! Yum yum, we'll take that." And these 12 dudes can just sit and rub their thighs and go, "Brilliant! We're the best game devs ever." Like it's
Oh
crazy.
no, they have a Hwacha.
I like it. It's just crazy to think that the board, the management are like, yeah, this is the way we want to run this. We want 12
Yeah,
dudes working on Pokemon.
yeah. Someone signed off on that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's what it is.
So
So there you go.
so two direct announcements left. The two kind of biggest ones really. There is a new Mario, a further new Mario game that's coming, which is Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Oh, that'll be setting up for the movie then.
Which it was originally a game that came out in 2004 on the Game Boy Advance, and it was it also has it's confirmed local co-op as well, and yeah, it looks like more kind of like maybe a slightly more puzzly version of like Donkey Kong style gameplay, like the gorilla is at the top of the screen, you are at the bottom, that kind of thing. And the last game that got announced was probably like Nintendo finished the Direct strong as well, just like PlayStation did with State of Play.
All
They
right.
announced a they announced a full remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door,
Cool.
which is, among like kind of Mario games over time, it has been, it is a beloved game, and rightly so. It's fucking great.
Yeah, the Paper Mario games were always pretty sick.
Yeah, they would they kind of for me they were like the kind of the successor to Mario RPG, since we weren't getting that for the longest time. So yeah, that's it for the Nintendo Direct.
Excellent. Let's do the state of play.
Let's do the State of Play. Let me just get all the announcements up. Okay.
Are we getting to use this monstrous medieval ballista? Amazing. Let's go.
Yeah, let's shoot the Hwacha at the boats.
Let's take it. Man, this thing's nuts.
Yeah.
Fuck. There's no way this is real.
Oh no, this is a thing that was used.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this is a piece of siege weaponry.
Wow, humans are monstrous. Oh my god, this is turned into the White Phosphorus mission.
So it was a multiple arrow or firework launcher that was developed in 15th century Korea.
Crazy
and
bastards.
caught on and went elsewhere.
That's absolute insanity. No wonder it caught on and went elsewhere. People would have came and seen this the first time and just backed off and went, "Whoa, nah. Okay, we need to reassess. They have a dragon."
All right, so from the top, is for State of Play, everything announced. We opened with
Oh,
something that deeply confused you at first, which was Baby Steps, which is a new game from three developers, but one of those developers happens to be Bennett Foddy, the guy who made Getting Over It.
I hate it. I
It
hate
is really
everything about it.
uncomfortable. It is really uncomfortable viewing like, the fact that he's in this grey onesie, the playable
For,
character.
for anybody that needs a description of this game, I
Uh,
described it as the why is there a I've just shat myself simulator.
So, for anyone who hasn't seen it, you control this, kind of nerdy looking guy in specs, and he's in this grey onesie, and you have individual fine motor control of his legs.
When we say he's in a onesie, though, it's a dirty, thin, grey onesie that shows off
Yeah,
his big
looks like
lumpy
a baby
bum.
grow.
It does. I think it is supposed to be a baby grow. I think he's supposed to be a giant baby.
And yeah, it looks like it is like entirely based on like balance physics. So like you're going to be individually controlling the legs and traversing various landscapes. It looks deeply uncomfortable, both to look at and to play.
It looks like an argument that games aren't art.
It's
Like
anti-art.
it's making me reassess the violent and offensive video game argument because I'm feeling quite upset by it.
Speaking of violent and offensive video game arguments, Roblox is coming to PS4, but not PS5 on October 10th.
Roblox is coming to
Four.
PS4. Yeah, all right. Is that because the adults bought PS5s and they gave their little brothers the PS4s?
Yeah, it's the hand-me-down effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like they've finally managed to get their hands on a PS5. Like, I don't need this thing anymore. The kid can play with it.
No, you can't play Daddy's new PS5 because it's new, but you can play the PS4 because that's a piece of shit and it sounds like a jet engine.
Stay away from Mortal Kombat.
Oh man, right, I'll be right back.
No worries. So just into chat, was there anything that you guys are looking forward to? If you saw the Nintendo Direct, just first of all, if you saw the Nintendo Direct, is there anything from that that you're really looking forward to? If you've watched it, or like as we've went through it, is there anything that we've said that you kind of like the sound of? For me, the big ones are, of course, Paper Mario, Mario RPG. It's a very Mario strong direct, to be honest. Also, kind of interested in the Nintendo Museum and what's going to be in it. I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to go and see it, but it would be cool. This is them kind of fully branching out into like wider physical life, isn't it, Nintendo? Because they've now got Nintendo theme parks. I'm pretty sure there's one in Japan and they're building one in California, I think. So yeah, like they seem to be like reaching into the outside world more and more. And with the success of the Mario movie, that's another thing they're going to be reaching into the cinema again.
The plumber of Dojima?
So I was just asking the chat: is there anything? Is there anything else that Is there anything from the direct that you were really looking forward to? And Bebob says his wallet wept at the Nintendo Direct stuff. There's plenty of stuff there for him. The new Mario RPG, Princess Peach, Thousand Year Door. There's also a Spy X Family game that I might get for the sheer curiosity because I watched the show with Cam and Lauren. Right, okay.
Oh man, this man knows all about hoes. He is a bit of a hoe lord. I actually have watched a few streams recently of him hoeing and planting,
Oh,
planting some deep
was
seeds.
was this the Harvestella?
Yeah. Well, no.
No,
Playing. Oh fuck, man! I can't even remember the name of it. Is that one that everybody talks about for farming sims? Stardew? Is that what you guys were playing?
Stardew Valley. Oh, nice. Yeah, Stardew is good. I've played a little bit of it. I've not gotten that deep into it because I kind of figured when I started playing it that if I did get deep into it, it would just destroy my life and then never play any other games. Um,
My understanding of it was the game that you got to give to your girlfriend when she came over so that you could play real games uninterrupted.
oh, you were playing with Lauren on her channel. Shout her out. Get her URL in the chat, and we can get people over to say hi. Um, the so yeah, state of play. Where were we? So we'd only spoke about baby steps and Roblox.
Eh,
The next thing was a short VR segment,
Weirdly enough,
which
this was a strong point for the state of play as a whole.
yeah. So we had Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord.
Now, if you're going to use VR for anything, to leverage anything, obviously,
Yeah.
obviously swords or lightsabers first,
Uh huh.
and then Ghostbusters. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's such a great idea. I don't have a VR. I don't want to get a VR, but if I ever do find myself in possession of a VR, I'll absolutely be checking out the Ghostbusters game because I love
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, and it's just a dope idea.
Yeah. You want to blast that proton pack.
Yeah, it's such a cool idea because what is Ghostbusters? You're going to a location, so they just have to make like a couple of rooms that you can stand in and look around with
Yeah.
destructible stuff in it, so that
Uh
when
huh.
you are firing off the proton pack, that stream hits something and stuff just goes flying. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to be super hyper realistic. As long as you're able to have fun with the boys and throw some like proton packs down, throw some ghost traps down, cross the streams and see what happens, you're gonna have a laugh.
And it's co-op as well. That was the other kind of big thing about it is that it looks as though you can play with friends. Which if there's any kind of like, I would imagine there's got to be some kind of teamwork aspect with the ghost traps and stuff.
Well, yeah, I imagine it plays very similar to the PS3 Ghostbusters game that was awesome.
Hmm.
I loved it, except I couldn't get the platinum for it because it was bugged. Yeah, really annoying. There was one ghost for the online play that wouldn't spawn, and it just never got fixed. So, yeah.
So yeah, a little shout out to who Bebob was streaming Stardew with Twitch/Kitty Lore. She does a VTuber avatar and loads of them cozy games of farming sims and a shed load of Baldur's Gate 3. So if that sounds like your thing, go check her out.
Wholesome stuff.
I don't imagine we had VTubers.
Us? Oh man, what would our VTubers be? Mine would be a lizard. It'd be some kind of lizard.
Yeah. I mean, like I would. I don't know. Like, I'd probably be like a sort of a sort of cloaked, bearded figure, I guess. Or no, do you know what I'd want to be? I'd want to be like a maybe like a Final Fantasy style black mage, but with like big hat Logan's hat.
I think yours, whatever it is, would you would only see the torso and the head would be out of shot.
Yeah. Um, okay. Next VR thing was Resident Evil 4 VR.
Nobody's surprised. Everyone's happy to see it. Moving on.
Yep. More Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC is coming out next week.
Shocking that it wasn't included, to be honest. I thought the Ada story was just considered part of the package now. But yeah, it makes sense that the Ada section would be brought out. And it also came
Yeah.
with Mercenaries, which again I thought was already in the game.
Yes.
But Mercenaries is a
Yeah.
game mode that I feel like is almost essential for a Resident Evil game now. It's almost like Resident Evil's version of COD Zombies. It's just such a
Yeah.
fun little game mode that's so easy to implement in any Resident Evil game. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. And it does scratch that itch if you are that sort of like the sort of person that, likes those kind of co-op horde shooting type things. Um,
It's arcadey,
The
and people
yeah,
still like
yeah.
arcadey. People like the scores thing. That's still one of my favourite parts of playing Marvel vs. Capcom, seeing how good a score I get and putting the name on the leaderboard and spelling like different funny words with 3 letters. Cock's been at the
Yeah.
COQ. Cock's been at the top of the leaderboard for a while now.
So yeah, and one thing that kind of made me that kind of gave me pause about the
Oh
Resident
shit.
Evil 4 DLC was how flashy it looked. I mean, like Ada like lunging about the place, and
Well, that's Ada
kind
though.
of
Like Ada is
yeah,
almost like a piss take of like the old spy genre, with like
yeah,
she's
yeah.
just gadgets everywhere. You know, like I almost feel like Leon and Chris are almost takes on like an 80s action star,
Yeah,
whereas Ada is more like the gadget spy, like
she's
super spy espionage bullshit lady.
she's she's Kim Possible.
Oh no.
Next game was something that I was surprised by how good this game looked. The Avatar game, The Frontiers of Pandora. Actually looked better than the second movie that I've seen quite recently
I,
and
s-
didn't really think too much of.
I saw the landscape open up and I thought it might have been some Final Fantasy shit. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, and then I saw a blue person. I was like, oh, all right.
But the thing is, it actually does look decent. Like it seems to have that sort of like I want to say like my mind goes to like Bethesda trope essentially, where you can jump between first and third person.
Look, man,
And
it could
it
be the
looked as if
best
you could
game
just
ever.
do that whenever you wanted.
It could be the best game ever, but Avatar as a brand to me is poisonous. If it's
Right? It's
James
tainted.
Cameron's, yeah, if it's James Cameron's Avatar by James Cameron, then I'm just not interested. I don't care about those fucking blue people. I'll tell you why. I was having a good think about like the things about Avatar that I didn't like, and
Uh-huh.
like you know me, I'm a Hufflepuff. I love animals, so you would think that the
Hmm.
concept of people that were like super in tune with all of the animals around them and all of that, like being able to speak to the lizard and shit would really would go with me. And people were seeing the movie and they were coming out and it was like, it's changed my life, man. I'm never gonna look at another living thing the same way again. Oh my god, I have so much respect for nature now. This has changed my life. And it was like, okay, right, I get it. It's an eco-friendly movie and that, and people should be less dicks to animals and shit. But see, when you really think about what they do, like think about what we've done with animals, right? Think about dogs.
Uh-huh.
Dogs didn't just start as our friends. We had to come up with a way to communicate with another species that doesn't have any of the same communication tools, any of the same like a dog will show its teeth as a sign of aggression or to scare off and intimidate something. We show our teeth when we're happy.
Yeah.
So like but if we show our teeth to a dog, it's not going to get that we're happy. It's going to think that we're being aggressive because you show your teeth to a
Yeah.
dog. That means aggression. But if you show it to us, we think, hey, smile. So, like we
Yeah.
had to find ways to come across all these different communication barriers, all this different interpretations of different actions and stuff like that. And eventually we managed to find a way to reach common ground with an animal and convince it to come hang out with us and do shit for us in exchange for a constant supply of food protection and at some point, love and companionship.
But what if, man? What if you could just plug yourself into a horse?
Have you ever seen the second Wonder Woman movie?
I have, yes.
So you know how
Unfortunately.
yeah, so you know how he just takes over that one dude's body and everything he does from that point on is ethically dubious because he's like
Yes.
using his body to do things with Wonder Woman and he's also taking him into like wars and shit. And
Wow,
this
you have gotten way better at the combat in this game.
I wasn't even paying attention. I'm totally thinking
Just
about this.
annihilated that dude.
Oh, flow state, man. Yeah, so like like everything was ethically dubious with this guy, and any like situation to
Hmm.
get him into, it's like that's another person's body, and he does not consent to doing this right now. What the fuck are you guys at?
Uh-huh.
That's Avatar. They do that with nature. They just usurp nature's free will bend it to their own needs, and then call it being one with them. Like I am absolutely amazed.
Just like humans do.
Yeah, yeah, but nobody gets that that's what they're doing. It's as if nobody has realized that what they are doing is they're just leveraging the fact that animals in this world have a USB port and they can just plug in. And basically, what they are doing to the animals is what Agent Smith does to people in the Matrix.
Yeah, it's funny as well. Like there's an additional like uncomfortable part to it as well when you realize that it is also something that these blue cat people is also something that they do in terms of their mating.
I absolutely wish that I could mind control things with my dick. That would be such a talent. But like yeah,
Yeah,
these
they
guys are
bond to
basically
each other and stuff.
so there is also that element to it as well. So these guys are basically just diddling nature to do what they want. And it's
Yeah,
so like once you realize that, it's just so like, ugh, you guys aren't in tune with
yeah.
nature. You guys are just shagging it into submission. That's
And you
that's
know,
way worse than what we do. I don't think anybody like fucked a wolf to get its to assert dominance.
but like it is bizarre though that it is looking like a better game than it ever could be a movie. Is my point, like, what I was trying to get to with this. But yeah, it does look like a half decent game, even though the brand itself might not be the best.
It's absolutely poisonous. I don't want anything to do with it. I hate the concept of like plugging into nature and manipulating it. Like, see my animals, my pets and stuff like that. How shallow of a relationship would it be if I could just open up, touch Shenron somewhere on his body, and just download into his brain and go, right, Shen, you absolutely adore me, and you're going to run all around the room for 10 minutes and then drink lots of water because that's what I want you to do today. And then he just did it.
Yeah,
Would it not be so much better? Like, what I do right now with him is open it up, ask him if he's thirsty because I've trained him by repeated sound and motion to respond to thirsty. Like the word
uh-huh.
thirsty, he knows if he opens his eyes and opens his mouth when I say thirsty, I will get a syringe, fill it with water, and give him a drink. Because
Yeah,
bearded dragons fucking suck at ingesting what liquids, man. They suck at it.
I yeah. They just don't do the self care. I'm not thirsty, not ever thirsty.
No, they are perpetually not thirsty. And then I've seen Shenron drink out of his bowl before. I know he can do it. He just doesn't do it
Mhm.
often. But now he's realised that if I say
Does
thirsty and he just
he?
clacks his teeth or his mouth together, I'll do it for him.
Do you think do you think it would be any better with one of those like kind of rabbit feeding things? The kind of rodent water dispensers.
Nah, he would never figure out what the fuck that was all about.
Fair enough.
I think
Oh,
the problem is that like their mouth is their blind spot,
right, yeah.
so he just never knows where to put his face. So sometimes he'll just hover it over the bowl and start lapping the air.
So I actually found out a really interesting thing about bearded dragons earlier on in the week, and I meant to say to you about it, and I completely forgot. Um, did you know that bearded dragons are one of the species of lizards that have a parietal eye?
The one at the top of their head?
Yeah, on the top of their head in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they essentially have a third eye, which like that senses like heat and light and things like that.
Yeah, they're super interesting little critters. They are basically just scaly dogs, and I'm a huge fan of mine. Both of mine, they're
Yeah,
very different kids, but love them both.
I didn't know about the third eye thing, and I just thought it was super cool.
They have so many weird, cool little things. I managed to get a really good video of Shen's beard changing color, and yeah,
Nice.
just I just love them. Anybody that's ever thinking about getting a pet but you don't have a lot of time and you can't dedicate to a dog, go for a bearded dragon. They don't need much time, but the time that you do give them is always rewarding.
Hmm.
The more time you put in, the more you get back. But they're cool to not eat for like 2 days. So if you're busy, that's fine.
So next up was Ghost Runner 2. I didn't think it was that long since we had Ghost Runner 1.
I thought we'd already seen Ghost Runner trailers at like the Game Awards and stuff like that, so I just shot it down immediately because I'm not super interested in it.
Fair enough. As I understood it, it's kind of like a slashy Mirror's Edge, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Next up was, for the PlayStation itself, 3 new cover plates were revealed. So, like, as in, like, colours for the fins. You can now have blue, red, and silver coming soon.
Yeah, red one's absolutely beautiful, but the trailer was
Yeah.
bizarre. I was not sure
Yeah,
what
it's
they were
really weird.
advertising.
And I take it, I'm guessing that you're going to be able to buy, the PlayStation with those kind of plate covers, just in the box, and maybe buy them separately as well.
I think the whole plate thing is something that they put into the kind of core design of PS5 so that people could customize them. So I don't even know if
Yeah.
there will be an in the box option, but they'll definitely be selling them to people that are like me and go, "Oh, I want red things."
Yeah, the aftermarket has been on this for quite some time, and I think at one point PlayStation actually tried to sue them, like some of the people who were making aftermarket PS5 plates because they hadn't done it yet. So yeah, nice to see they've caught up. Next up was one called Helldivers 2. It's a multiplayer shooter. It looks a bit like Starship Troopers. The one thing that I thought was really cool about this trailer is the way that missile launchers work. You have to get a person in your team, like a co-op person, to load the rockets
Yeah, that
while you
looks really
crouch and aim.
cool. The whole game looked really cool. Like it looks like the kind of game that I think we would enjoy playing. But here's the thing. See the trailer and the footage that they showed off. First off, I think the game has
Uh-huh.
actually been delayed. I think it was announced today or yesterday that the game's been delayed,
Oh, right,
so
okay.
not great. But see, when you were listening to the people that were playing it, you could tell they were the dev team.
Right.
They
Yeah.
sounded so fucking bored of their own game. But that's because these are the people that has been their life for years. So they knew exactly what they were saying. They couldn't muster up any kind of enthusiasm. They should have got new people.
Aye.
They should have got
They
new
probably wrote
people.
it like 9 months ago.
Yeah, no, they should have got new people to come in and play the game and experience it as fresh players and have the reaction of like, whoa, oh my god. Like, see EDF.
Hmm.
The first time you do some of that mad shit in EDF, you're just like, whoa, what the hell? That's amazing. Oh, yeah. But if you know it's like now that you know it's coming, you're just like, yep, throwing it in. There's the big nuke. Woohoo, that was great.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Where the hell's this guy taking me? Am I leading him or is he leading me?
I think he may be leading you. The uh, Another thing I'd say about that Helldivers is that the boss monster that they showed looked really cool. Like, I mean, it looked like enough of a threat that it would maybe take a little bit of teamwork to actually beat it.
Game looks sick. The people that were
Yeah.
supposed to be selling it to me didn't sell it, but again, it was just because like I could tell that was the dev team and they are bored of their own game by this point.
So, so next one we know is going to be a slam dunk, and that's Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Yep,
Um,
almost don't even think about this one at this
I
point. Like
don't
when I
really.
see it pop up, I'm not excited by it. I'm just like, yep, that's going to be amazing.
Aye. It's going to be great. The only thing, I mean, the one thing that did give me kind of slight kind of about it a little bit was that they introduced like the kind of fast travel thing that they're going to implement for it, and it's all to do with like the new sort of spider wingsuit.
Hmm.
And I never like one of the things that I really liked about Marvel Spider-Man, the original one, was that like going around the New York city and just swinging around, that was like one of the best bits of actually playing the game. Like, why would you put an emphasis on fast travel in a game where it's like one of the best bits is to just swing around the city? Like, I like swung around and found like the embassy to Wakanda that they'd put in, and the Sanctum Sanctorum where the sorcerers live. Like they're actually in the game. And you can go and stand next to them. You can climb Avengers Tower.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know why they're bothering to emphasize fast travel, because people want to swing around the place.
I guess it is just for the people that would complain if there was no fast travel. I guess that's all I can think
I
about.
I suppose.
The thing that got me when I saw it was one, it's we're getting closer and closer to it being an Ubi game, and
Uh
it's just nothing but map markers everywhere. Which, that's fine, but it's starting to feel a bit Assassin's Creedy. I'm just going through the areas, just picking stuff up and getting hassled by locals every now and then. And the other thing that
uh,
I noticed about it was they are really emphasizing this whole you can switch between Spider-Man and Spider-Man.
Spider Miles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spider Miles. You can go between Spider Peter and Spider Miles, like instantly. But they're going at it as if this is a new thing. I am
Yeah.
almost positive that I played a PS2 Ultimate Spider-Man game where the gimmick was that you could quickly switch between Spider-Man and Venom.
And they showed Venom in this trailer, which he looks pretty impressive. He looks like Venom.
Hard to fuck it up at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next was Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn, which I think is a DLC because Tales of Arise is already out. That's coming on November 9th. Honkai Star Rail, that's the sci-fi game by the Genshin Impact people. That's coming to PS5 in October.
I hate the name.
We had Foam Stars,
No,
which
hang
has
on.
an...
Kino's correcting my
Huh?
memories here. You didn't switch to
Okay.
Venom on the fly. I know that you could switch between them somehow,
And
but I can't
Venom
remember what it
controlled
was.
like ass.
Well, here's the thing, right? Spider-Man had all of the cool jumping, like agile swinging through the air, web swinging stuff like that. Venom just had Hulk jumps, so you would just like launch off in a direction and then land
Ah,
and
so it
then
was Sonic Unleashed.
yeah, kinda. Okay, I'm probably misremembering it then, but yeah, okay. Well, I enjoyed the game, but yeah, okay.
So not only is Foam Stars still coming out, but there's also an open beta for it, which is like I suppose an early access window where the game will be available to play in a sort of demo form.
I just imagine Sony opening the doors for the Foam Stars beta, and there's like two people. It's like the Area 51 raid. Just a handful of people showed up when they were expecting 100 million.
Okay, and now we have the headlining announcement, the big one
So
at the very end.
at this point in the show, I am fully melted into my seat.
Checked out.
Disinterested. Eyes are glazed over. Pulse is slow. There's not any hint of life or enthusiasm coming from me. I am
Yep,
basically dead.
a
And then
lifeless husk.
all of a sudden they start talking about things, and I'm like, beep, beep. We're getting a pulse. He's coming back. Beep, beep, beep. And the pulse just got stronger, and then they realised that all of the blood was rushing through my body straight to the bobby.
Instant flagpole as the words FF7 Rebirth were uttered.
I checked the clock. It was 6, and then it was midnight.
Uh, so, so well, don't worry. We can go through some of the things from that trailer. By the way, we are also going to be talking about it on Thursday on the FF7 stream. Because we're going to have a new player perspective as well there.
Well, here's what we can do, right? Because there's something that I
Okay.
want to talk to you specifically about that's probably going to
Okay.
take a while, and the trailer will probably take a while. So how about we just rapid fire through the trailer, and we'll
Yes.
do a full EFAP breakdown on Thursday of like
Yeah.
scene by scene. We'll go through it moment for moment and give our thoughts and feelings on it. But we can just quick fire this, and
Yes.
then I'll give you the thing that I would like us to talk about because I don't know if you've seen this, but there's been a lot of additional information, and it's incredible.
Okay. Well, a couple other things that accompanied the announcement of the this further Rebirth trailer. You can and I'm going to use the wording of this Games Radar article, and I'm going to give them the credit for writing it in this particular way. The Rebirth Collector's Edition.
Yeah.
For $350, you can get 19 whole inches of Sephiroth. That is
If
the
I
way
was
they've written it in this article.
if I was paying £350 for a Sephiroth statue, it would 100% be the one of him wearing the banana hammock and nothing else.
And of course, the other big thing to touch on is that we actually have a release date for it,
Oh yeah, we do.
which is exciting and terrifying, and at least it's in 2024 from a poor wallet this year.
And it's a full month away from Tekken. Thank God.
Yeah. Okay, so quick fire highlights from it then. If we're doing the full trailer breakdown on Thursday, that's fine. Just a few things to touch on then. Um, so so how it opens is really weird.
Yep.
You know, just with the wording they say, oh, the world will be saved, but will you? Does that mean that Zack might die after all?
Does that mean that a certain other character might not?
Exactly. Yeah. And like, is there going to be potentially like a choice of casualty? But I suppose there couldn't be because there's going to be another installment to this.
Mm.
I think they're going to maybe try and make us think that there's going to be an alternative, but there won't actually be. I think it'll be a sort of inevitable timeline correction, and we're just going to get events playing out as they would have, but in a different way, much like they did in Remake Part One.
Yeah, it seems like the most logical way to do things. Help, I'm blind.
Rip retinas.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, February 29th.
Yep, can't wait.
February
Good date.
29th is a release date. So yeah, that bit at the start, weird. Not sure what to make of that. And then we get then we get Rufus on top of the Junon cannon. Yep. Saying that this is the new world order, and you get the cannon firing, and it's so cool.
Now that's totally new for
Yeah.
Rebirth. When we get the presidential inauguration in the original, there's no firing into the big dick gun.
Yeah.
But in this one, Rufus just wants to really let everybody know that he is ready to throw down some serious ham.
Yep. He is swinging big time.
He's got some meat in it. You're going to need a pretty big table for it.
Next, we had like a quick fire of various locations, including like underneath Junon, the little fishing town. We had Cosmo Canyon. We
Yay.
had. I think because like the ruined reactor, I'm thinking that's Gongaga because of all the jungle stuff
It has to be
roundabout.
Gongaga.
Has to be.
It is Gongaga.
Yeah.
In fact, no.
Um,
I can double down on that and say it's Gongaga
uh,
because part of the trailer we get a small showcase of summons that are going to appear in the game. We see
yeah,
Alexander, we see Odin, but one that I think a lot of people missed is we saw Kujata.
we did, which is cool because Kajata hasn't appeared in any other game since, I don't think.
He is one of the most forgotten summons in all of the Final Fantasy pantheon. It's insane because I really like Kajata.
Yeah. And we got his origin story. I remember looking him up when we were on stream. The Divine Bull.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's great.
So plenty more combat. We saw a lot of the kind of synergy stuff. Like, you've not played Remake Intergrade yet, the Yuffie episode.
No.
But like the attack synergy is something that's actually starts in that.
Yeah,
So like
I've
that
not played it, and I'm not going to until we play it together.
cool. Well, the what I'll say, not to give anything away, but the groundwork for all that attack synergy stuff that we're seeing in Rebirth trailer, the groundwork for it's already there.
Yeah.
The combat looks much flashier than it was in Remake as well. We got flashbacks. We got the next big thing, Kate Sith. My God, he looks fun to play.
Kate Sith looks like possibly the most fun character. Obviously, Nanaki's the one that I want to play the most, but I actually, for the first time in Final Fantasy history, I want Kate Sith in my party. The reason I said Cat there is because I was watching a Max video on it. He was talking about we are going to hear his name pronounced.
We are going to find out. Yeah.
So we're going to find out if it is the decades-old debate: is it Kate Sith or is it Ket Shi? And it's obviously Kate Sith.
As in the old Irish. Yeah.
It's obviously Kate Sith, but Max said if it turns out it is Ket Shi, then he's just going to call him cat shit for the rest of the game.
But I mean, look, one thing that really struck me about like the Kate Sith footage was how bouncy he is.
They've really done a lot to give him so much charm and character. And see, of all of the special chain like combo techs that we've seen characters doing in trailers so far, it's when he eats Aerith's weird magic bubblegum and then shoots out a hype beam. That's the one that I'm most excited to do.
Yeah, it was great. Next was, we saw like bits about traversal as well. We saw the buggy. The buggy's in it.
It looks great.
We saw chocobos in various environments, and one of the environments in particular, the one that we were gliding over the, what I imagine is the surroundings for Cosmo Canyon. It looked really big.
Yeah, it's
really big.
The trailer, if the game plays in any way or has the scope that in any way that is suggested by the trailer, then this is going to be basically everything that FF16 wasn't, which is probably really bad for 16's my lasting impression of it, given that if the very next Final Fantasy game we get is like
it's bit better.
It's Horizon. It's Horizon, but it's FF.
Yeah.
Then Rip
Rip
Valisthea.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that's what it's like? It's like Horizon, but FF7.
Well, that is what we're aiming for. I don't know if you know, but Hamaguchi is a huge Horizon stan.
Right, cool. I mean, we did get some Costa del Sol footage as well. Probably not the footage we were hoping for.
That was the most confusing part of the entire trailer for me. As soon as we saw Cloud in beachwear on a Segway.
Yeah, a lot of fights taking place on beaches as well, so there must be like a lot of surrounding areas near Costa del Sol where we can fight things.
Yeah.
Oh, see that thing you're going for just now, the Dance of Wrath?
Yes.
That is the coolest move in this game.
Awesome. Let's grab it while we get on to the other things.
I feel for poor Ghost of Tsushima that's kind of been sidelined with all this, but do you know what? There's more important things to talk about.
We're not doing anything super important in it this week. Don't worry about it. We're going to start doing some of the quests just now and that. But next week will be the big progress week. That's when we're just going to tear through the main path.
We also saw, and this is a confusing point for me, and I wonder like what this means for like the wider the game and the way that we're going to progress through it, because we saw we saw a doctor talking about the hooded reunion guys,
Yep,
and he looked like he might have been the doctor from Medeal.
it was.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? Does that mean that we're just going to be able to go to Medeal quite early, or do you think that we are going to progress past Northern Crater, with this game? Because that's another thing that's come out, like in the in the subsequent media release that I have caught. There's a couple of things that I have managed to catch, that it's going to be reportedly over 100 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, so what they've said is that the side content of the game is going to be essentially double the main story content of the game.
Yeah.
And overall we're looking at probably like 120 hours of stuff to fuck around and do. But
Wow.
that's part of one of the things that I was going to bring up with you, so we'll get on to that.
Okay.
But just going back to the Medeal thing,
Uh huh.
again, it's covered in the thing that I'm going to bring up for us, but I think we will go to Medeal. I don't think that we are going to get Cloud in the live stream, Cloud in a wheelchair, anything like that. I think we're
Hmm.
just going to go to Medeal,
Hmm.
because in the
To maybe
original
establish
FF7,
the Doctor character.
well, to establish that and to establish Medeal as a location, because in the original FF7, you go to Medeal after you wash up there.
Yeah.
Like you kind of Cloud washes up there, you go there and you walk to it, and that's the first time you've been at Medeal. I think it's going to
Hmm.
create more of a sense of like a cohesive open world if you're able to explore it, find these locations that are key locations but not yet,
Hmm.
and still be able to go in and have interactions with characters that set up the future events that will happen there, as opposed to just like, oh, Cloud's gone. Oh, look, there's a town over there. I wonder if that's it. Oh, it is great. Ooh.
And of course, I mean, if we are going down that sort of Horizon route, then we are going to get maybe like side quests and things popping up in these locations if they are going to be established ones.
Ooh, again, covered. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a
Next
lot of
highlight thing.
information. I have a lot of information for you, my man. Don't worry.
Okay. Next highlight thing. The Midgar Zolom looks amazing.
Yep.
Um, uh, and the big fish thing in Junon looks amazing.
The
And
Priscilla fight.
yeah, and yeah, we already covered the summons. Gold saucer.
Oh,
Ah, right. Okay, gold
I
saucer.
I
So
got chills.
so great to see Andrea Rodea back.
That was one of the things that made me. When I saw Kate Sith, I screamed like, I was like, oh, Kate Sith! And then I saw Dio, and
Uh-huh.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Dio!" Saw Andrea, went, "Oh, Andrea!" Andrea has managed to be such an impactful character for being a new character that was added into remake. That
Uh-huh.
like I'm as hyped to see him as I am to see other existing characters that I've known and been a fan of for 20 plus years. Like Andrea made that much of an impression.
And Dio does look less naked, but I mean that's probably okay.
I think
He
he's
has
got a vest.
a fantastic huge collar by the looks of things.
He does, and he's also got a fantastic big moustache.
Oh yeah. And we also had in the Gold Saucer segment, we had a little selection of mini games, including like Chocobo Racing and the G
G-Bike.
Bike. Yeah, so happy there's more motorcycling.
Even the little Punchy Boy game looked really fun.
Yeah. Um, the the next thing is that we saw weapons.
We did. I did not expect that. That
Yeah.
that genuinely kind of blew me away a little bit. I did not expect them to even mention weapon, never mind show
Okay.
weapon.
Yeah. And I was like I was I was on the ropes at this point. I was like slack jawed in wonder, right? Looking at this trailer. And then the next thing happens, which is of course Vincent backflipping out of the coffin
Now,
with the voice of Matt Mercer.
in the original game, he does that sick flip out of the coffin, and I was like, okay, if they're going to do Vincent in this, how are they going to handle that? They went ultra anime with it. He does the most like physics is not fucking concerned with this man's movements as he glides through the air, backflips out, and then yeah, it's Jotaro. Crazy.
Who dares disturb my slumber?
Oh, he's gonna be so edgy and weird.
Yep, so here for it. Okay. Last sort of sizzle we had, we had some very flashy cutscenes. Sephiroth has his wing out, and then he says something interesting.
Can I just say, when we were doing the flashback and you got to see Cloud and Sephiroth battling together,
Oh
fellas,
yeah, we didn't. I
fellas,
didn't even see that.
find yourself someone that looks at you the way Sephiroth looks at Cloud in that fight.
It looks so great, and like seeing that Sephiroth is a controllable party character is so cool, and I'm looking forward to that. They've got to, man. They've got to.
Again,
Maybe it's hopium. Maybe it's hopium, but
We'll
they've
get to
got.
it.
I think they got to. I think they got to.
We'll get to it.
Okay, but Sephiroth says something interesting towards the end of the trailer, and I imagine this will probably get. This is something that we can discuss as well. But he talks about the reunion as being a time where worlds merge.
Yeah, now that really piqued my interest because that can, in theory, only really mean one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The timeline where Zack lives and the timeline where he doesn't might converge.
Yeah, and we had thought we had been like talking about this before on stream and like saying how we're thinking that it is possible we might get like a convergence, but it's all like confirmed now.
I
Like
think
it's almost confirmed.
I think that means that we are definitely at some point going to get the final showdown with like the mind fight with Sephiroth, and we're going to
Yeah.
finally see Cloud and Zack back to back, both doing an Omni Slash at the same time.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
I'll be right back. Hang on, I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
Cool. So, and yeah, that's already a DO anyway, right on King Kong, yeah. So, yeah, like as I say, we are going to go, go more blow by blow with the trailer on Thursday. We're going to go into a lot more depth because we do have, a new player to FF7, which I think it would be great to hear her insight as well. And we are going to go like pretty much EFAP the trailer essentially, and just like go through what we see and what we reckon to that. So we'll go into a lot more detail. From what I understand, what Dargo has in store for the rest of this stream is a bit of weird theory crafting. Because there has been a lot of additional media, like not just this trailer. There have been more releases of statements from the developers that have followed up on the trailer itself and provided additional information and things that maybe weren't mentioned in the trailer, or additional like supplementary information. Like one thing I do know is that we now know how far the game goes in this second installment. We now know where it's going to end. From the mouths of the developers themselves, they've told us exactly when that's going to be, and we are going to cover that when he comes back.
What we do? What we theory craft? Yes, we're theory crafting. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. Hey, Charlotte.
And yeah, hey Scar. So yeah, we're theory crafting about that wonderful FF7 Rebirth trailer. Um, so so yeah. What would you like to attack first in terms of the additional media?
Okay,
Because there are
right.
a couple of things I've seen, there are a couple of things I haven't seen.
Right, there's one thing that I'm going to send to you, and we're going to go through that, and that will be sufficient, I believe. So,
Okay.
if you haven't, I'm sending you a link now. There you go. If you haven't read this yet, please try and not skip ahead. I would like your authentic reaction as it happens. I'm trusting you to read it out, because that way I can still play the games. But,
Okay. Cool.
if you'd rather that I found a nice view and read through this to just surprise you, then please.
No, no, I'm good. I'm good to read through this. Okay. Um, so I'm just going to skip through to the questions,
Yep,
if that's
so
okay.
I'll do the setup for everybody. This is a developer interview based on or about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with the two men that are really in charge of the development of it. That is Hamaguchi and Nomura. Now, one thing that you will notice as we go through this is that when Hamaguchi is answering a question, you're going to get a very good answer, a very clear answer, a very succinct answer. And when Nomura's in charge, we're going into Nomura bullshit territory. So get ready for that. I'll try and do my best to, I'm like the Kojima, the genius Kojumbo whisperer. I'll try and put
Yeah.
my like Nomura babblefish on and see if I can decipher some of this
Okay.
man's
See if we can
eccentric
parse
auteur.
this, man.
Yeah, yeah, we really do need to parse through this man's sentences because he's like an auteur fucking weirdo. So yeah, all right,
Okay.
I'll try and translate for the auteurs tonight.
Okay, so we're going to go. Let's go through these questions then. So, first one is: can you explain what we're seeing? The combat system here, has it remained untouched since Seven Remake, or have you altered anything? Hamaguchi says, I want to highlight the new synergy moves from the battle system. New mechanic allows the player to use synergy commands and abilities freely at any time. By using up a gauge charge in similar manner to limit breaks. So through the battles, players will feel the relationships and bonds that have developed between the characters, even more so than the previous game. We've also added skill trees and an element of character growth. You can unlock synergy abilities through the skill trees, and many new materia with new abilities not seen in the first game are available as well. So players will have even more options to customise and build characters' loadouts to their own tastes. Okay, so immediately what I'm thinking of that is we're getting the gold saucer.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to get the date with the character that we have the most synergy with?
Potentially. I
Or
hadn't
is
actually.
that well?
I,
Oh, cool. Then maybe I've brought up something you've not thought of. That's cool.
well, no, I
So
hadn't thought about that at all because I was blindsided by skill trees. Excuse me.
yeah, so
Are we
maybe
doing full on, full ass Baldur's Gate RPG shit?
I guess I mean like that. There's I mean
Like,
like
am I going to be able to build a full Barrett Sentinel tank build on one run and then have him as like a melee or like a ranged DPS build on another run while I've got Nanaki tanking?
so. I think what I'm getting from this, and just to be full disclosure, I haven't read this article you've sent me.
Awesome.
So I haven't read any of this, so this is all new.
I,
Um,
Before we
what
go
I'm
any
think
further, how late are we going? Because we started late. How long are we taking this?
let's just take it on at 12. Why not?
Okay, because this is quite a
Right.
long thing and it's
Okay.
fucking packed with info.
Okay. So yeah. So we've got so potentially that this is a way of explaining maybe why like why we are starting from like from dot again in terms of level and abilities. We're going to be able to branch out maybe to the various abilities that some of which we might have already seen and some of which will be new.
I mean, it sounds to me like we're doing build class, like we're doing like skill trees into builds. So you could, in theory, have like high melee DPS Tifa, or you could have extremely tanky defensive like damage sponge Tifa. Well, you
I
have
don't
offensive
know.
Aerith.
I don't know how in depth it's going to go, considering that we already have the materia system on board. I don't know, like considering that we've already had, in remake they've shown that the materia system, of course, is alive and well. There is plenty of room to expand on that. But we did also have like the weapon upgrades tree, and the fact that we had, the fact that we had like all of our characters' abilities coming from weapons. I think maybe they're going to start doing that, like as coming from not from the weapons, but from the skill tree instead.
Yeah, I think that the weapon skills may be out in favor of this new skill tree system, which
Yeah,
I'm all for. I love a skill tree. I love classic ass RPG elements, and the
yeah,
closest thing that I could think of in terms of like a skill tree and what they could be implementing, if we're not doing just a basic Baldur's Gate style, we're building a tank build, we're building a DPS build, we're building a healing build. Could this be in some way a revival of the jobs system?
possibly. I don't know if they'll frame it like jobs again because jobs were never really a feature of Seven before. I don't know if they'd shoehorn a full job system in, but I think that it's probably going to take elements of, things we've already seen before, like the weapon upgrade system, and maybe put that into a skill tree instead. I don't know if it's not going to be as monotonous as the sphere grid, I hope. But like, I reckon that we're going to have something maybe slightly similar to that, but on a smaller scale alongside the materia system.
Potentially, yeah. I'm super interested to see how it actually pans out. There's so many ways they could take it, but so far so good in terms of the new features that we're talking about. And again, Hamaguchi, thank you. Very clear answer. Lots of information. Appreciate it, my man.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to try and save us a bit of time, is I'm going to maybe truncate some of the questions, just to kind of boil them down to what's actually being asked
Yeah.
without the waffle. So next was Red 13 was shown in the trailer, or Nanaki was shown in the trailer, and what can people expect in terms of his abilities? Hamaguchi says the dev team challenged themselves to give Red a new playstyle that felt different from the other characters. He doesn't just have an ATB, but also has his unique revenge gauge mechanic. His revenge gauge charges when he guards against enemy attacks, and he can spend that charge to use various abilities once the gauge is filled. We've designed Red as a new type of character that requires the player to strike a balance between offensive and defensive using ATB gauge and revenge gauge.
So he sounds dope as hell to play.
Yeah. So we've also got Kate Sith and Vincent. Will they be playable as well? Will the party expand further? Nomura says
Oh no, right,
the
okay.
the original party members are all present in Seven Rebirth. In the previous title, Seven Remake, Red 13 became an accompanying member in the second half of the game, but he will become an official playable party member starting from Rebirth.
Thank
Similarly,
fuck.
there are characters who are accompanying members in Seven Rebirth that will become official party members in the next title.
Now,
So, yeah.
I
So let's
think
parse.
I think that means what he's saying there, I think, is all of the original Final Fantasy VII party members are present. That
Hmm.
includes Sid.
Yes.
I think that means that all 9 original party members from FF7 will be present and they will feature in the game in some capacity. But I think what he's saying there is, I would say Sid and Vincent are not going to be playable. They will
Mm.
appear in the game, they will do some shit, they'll probably help out the same way Nanaki did, but they will not be playable until the next game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable to assume. I think that it's possible that we're going to maybe see Sid and Vincent like appear, but we're going to much like they did with Red, they'll probably be like sort of guest characters where they'll be there and they'll maybe fight alongside us, but we won't get control like we had with Nanaki.
Yeah, I imagine Sid will be like jumping in, doing some crazy bullshit with
Mhm.
the spear, doing all his like shit, and I don't know. It's super hard to tell because Nanaki, you could give him some directions and commands every now and then.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. Maybe Sid's just going to stand on the sideline and throw like he'll spark dynamite from his cigar and then throw it into the middle of a brawl.
And I suppose that also means like if they're going to be having Vincent as just a temporary character, is he going to be? Is it going to be like part way through the game we're going to get him in the party for a while, or does that mean we're saving Shinra Mansion to much later?
I wonder if Vincent isn't going to join us, but he is going to go off on his own sort of, you know, quest, and
Do
it
you
will
think?
intersect with us at different points.
And one thing that I've seen speculated, specifically around Vincent, is that we might get an episode Vincent like we got an episode Yuffie.
Yeah, I could kind of see that happening because what happened before this game was coming out, they released Crisis Core to give people an idea of,
Uh,
story and gameplay for Zack. We could probably see something about Dirge of Cerberus or a revival of that, or even just a little. I could see Vincent having a spin-off, but the Vincent
yeah.
spin-off not being like the Yuffie one is set at the same time as remake, and it shows Yuffie's perspective as part of a
Hmm.
Wutai agent in that area. I could see the
It
Vincent one.
shows a bit more than that, but we'll get to that when we play it.
All right, well, you know I'm getting at, but I could
uh,
totally see the Vincent one not being set at the present time. I could see it being a prequel chapter set in Vincent's Turk days.
okay, so yeah, I can see that. I think maybe we're gonna like my guess is we're gonna maybe do a side quest where Vincent's in the party, and then he will make an excuse and depart on his episode.
Lucrezia.
Yeah, yeah, he'll go and try and find her resting place or whatever, um, and maybe and then we can maybe join up. Maybe we'll have like a sort of a chance meeting with him again in part three, and it'll just be like that'll be how they bring him into the party.
Maybe. Who the fuck? Where is this dude that I've got to follow? I don't see him.
Is Dadwin saying anything?
Oh yeah, Dad, Daddy,
Absolutely nothing.
Daddy didn't care.
So next question is about summons. Can we expect more returning summons, and will any summons from remake return? Hamaguchi says, there will be many other summons in the game, in addition to those that have already been revealed in our previous videos, with some also returning from Remake. In fact, the lineup of summons has actually been fleshed out over and above the previous game, with new extended side content based on a summon who did not feature in the original FF7 and even more besides.
So, we're getting new
So who?
summons.
So who dat? Yeah. So who dat? They've taken like and to kind of puzzle this one a little bit. They have taken great pains to say that a summon who did not feature in the original Final Fantasy VII, therefore implying that it's possibly a summon that we know.
Right.
It's maybe an established Final Fantasy summon. It's just not appeared in this game before.
Hear me out. I'm gonna put a bit. I'm gonna. This is my official guess for what
This
they are
is
talking about.
this is your raffle ticket, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think what they are hinting at here is that we are going to get at least a Chadley VR encounter with Bahamut Sin.
That's an interesting way to take it, I guess.
I mean, Bahamut Nero, Bahamut Zero, Bahamut Sin. It's
Yeah.
one that was not in the original FF7, but it is FF7 canon. We have seen that, Wheezy Schweezy and the Sviettes appear in some way in Chadley's jank little thing, so we are drawn from other media that takes place in the future to
Uh-huh.
play around in VR. So why not take something that is a recognizable entity in Final Fantasy VII, something that the entire party came together to fight, and make it an actual playable encounter ahead of it being a playable encounter in Ever Crisis.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. I like how they've said over and above the previous games. So what they have revealed in saying so is that you know maybe not all of the summons that we've seen already in remake, maybe not all of them are coming back, but overall there will be more summons.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a deep pool to draw from. The ones that I think will not be included,
Hmm.
I I hope they're not included. I don't want to see Knights of the Round yet.
No, definitely. That's a part three thing,
Yeah,
for sure.
I want Knights of the Round in part three, and I want it to be something that is like you need a golden chocobo to get to.
Yeah, it needs
Um,
to be hard to get.
yeah. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see Knights of the Round. I don't think we're going to see some of the kind of maybe Hades. We're confirmed to see
Yeah.
Alexander. I don't know if we're going to see any of the kind of later game. Like I don't know if we'll see the different iterations of Bahamut coming into it. Maybe one.
I think we might see Neo, we won't see Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Carbuncle maybe.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. Well, we have had Carbuncle in FF7 remake.
Did we? Oh, he
Yeah,
was
it
like
was a
DLC shit.
pre-order bonus. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
pre-order
that's right.
bonus. Yeah, it was him. It was Cactuar, Carbuncle, and Baby Chocobo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Next thing is we saw many mini games in the new trailer. Will the same mini game in June on we saw the marching mini game out? Will the same mini game from the original still be playable? We saw the in the parade. And Hamaguchi says yes, the same mini game will be playable in the parade, but we've greatly increased its scope compared to what it was in the original Final Fantasy VII. In the original, Cloud sneaks into one of the units participating in the parade and joins in the performance, but in 7 Rebirth, he becomes the leader of that unit and can customize the composition of the soldiers participating in the parade. The chosen unit composition will alter the performance, and it goes without saying that this also affects how the minigame is played. The parade to celebrate the inauguration of Rufus as the new president of Shinra is the climax of the first half of the original game. So the development team was really enthused about making all the details for it. It's one of the moments I hope players enjoy the most.
You sounded happy when you were reading that.
And I am happy reading that because it's Hamaguchi gets it.
Doesn't he? Doesn't it just make like sometimes when I was reading through this, I just had to
Hmm.
stop and just take a minute to go, like, oh my god, man, Hamaguchi, thank you,
Hmm.
thank you. Like if anybody could take the hopes and dreams of everybody that loves this game and wants to see it done justice, like he's the right man. Thank you.
Yeah. And next, he's asked about the gold saucer and its mini games. How do they differ? And he says, I think there's a lot of fans who point to the number and variety of mini games as one of the draws for the original Final Fantasy VII. But for Rebirth, we have gone all out and created a huge number of mini games on a scale that surpasses even the original. Many of these mini games can be experienced in the main story, but we've also lots of unique games and challenges that appear as part of the side stories you can find as you explore the world map.
Bah,
Okay, there
bah.
might there might well be players who get so caught up in all the fun minigames that they find they aren't making progress in the main story.
Oh,
Okay.
he gets it.
So
He just
there's a
gets it.
few things there as well, like while they are exploring the world map,
That
he
means
said.
that means that you're going to just be running around,
Uh-huh.
fucking about, running into weird places, and somebody is just going to be like, hey, you want to play fucking cards? You want to play
Uh-huh.
darts? And you're just gonna keep running into all this weird shit. I know where you're
Yeah.
thinking, and I don't know if that means Fort Condor. I don't know. I don't know. He didn't say it, but I don't know.
Well, but one of my biggest takeaway from that question was, confirmed we have a world map to explore.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a fairly big drop of information.
I thought we got that from the trailer.
Well, I mean, we did see markers and the like map markers and the compass at the top of the screen and stuff, and we saw that things were quite far away, and we saw that we saw like in the previous trailer and this trailer that there was a lot of space, but you know, you could have been forgiven for thinking that those were little isolated spaces that you load into, much like FF16.
Hmm.
But they used the words world map.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is a good
Yeah,
perspective to take from it. All what I
yeah,
took away from that was everywhere you go, there is going to be something to do, someone to
yeah.
speak to, something to find, and something to interact with. The world
Hmm.
is going to be populated,
Yeah.
and it's going to be
That's
fun.
Yeah, and I hope I hope that they have at least taken some notes from Larian, because that's one thing that BG3 does incredibly well, is that everything feels populated and kind of alive. And if they do the whole Horizon thing where they have this huge expansive map that's full of like NPCs walking around, but like as extras, but also full of various quests and things that we can just pick up and help people out with and continue to be a mercenary. Maybe that's going to be like a thing. Maybe there's going to be like a sort of a mercenary rank as you do
Maybe,
odd jobs for people.
maybe, yeah, like raise your notoriety. Who knows? There could even
Hmm.
be stuff where it's like, hey, Avalanche HQ want you to go and like mess up the Shinra installation that they've put near Junon, and that raises Avalanche notoriety. Who knows, man? Like just the
Hmm.
fact that Hamaguchi has gone so far out to say like, don't worry, guys, mini games are most of the game.
Hmm.
Like he
And
gets it. He just gets it. He knows.
further to this as well, he says that players will first visit the Gold Saucer in the middle section of the game, but are then free to come back to it at any time they like.
So,
And apparently, it's the park will change with each visit.
oh, I hope the shady GP dealers there.
So new mini games are added, harder difficulty modes are unlocked as the story progresses, and gives you more to do there. So you kind of pop back to there. It'll be like a Kingdom Hearts style Coliseum where it's a level you just keep coming back to.
So happy to hear all of this, all of it.
Okay, next up is trailer also shows moments of the party exploring less exterior open areas. Here is our world maps question. How do these larger areas work within the context of the story and the gameplay? So, our main man says once the team leaves Midgar Cloud and the team's major objective. Okay, that's not very well written. So I'll paraphrase. Cloud and the team's major objective in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is to follow and track down Sephiroth across the expansive world they find themselves in. We've put a lot of emphasis on exploration-focused game design, as we wanted to create the feeling of going on a journey while travelling around the world in pursuit of evidence of Sephiroth's movements. So, that's interesting in the sense that, in the original game, it is quite linear in the sense that there is a path. There is a core path that we go along. There are places that we can divert off to and explore, and like optional areas and stuff, but for the most part, we are being taken through the story in a linear sort of way.
When
Does this mean does this mean that we're going to be getting potentially alternate paths, or is it going to be like we're going to have to find the evidence before we can go to the paths we expect?
what I'm taking away from that is slightly different, actually. The way that I'm interpreting that is that as we are traveling through the world, in the original game, when you're traveling through the world, the evidence of Sephiroth, quote unquote, would
Hmm.
be the Midgardsormr. You walk through the area
Chasing
and
the
you,
Black Cape Man.
yeah, people talk about the Black Cape Man, and you get the Midgardsormr. I think we're going to see more things like that. I think we're going
Hmm.
to go places and see evidence that Sephiroth has been there with some kind of destruction or people fear, more talk about him, more like the more you explore, the more you will learn about his movements and stuff like that, I think.
Did Sephiroth do this?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a few more of those moments.
Do you know? Do you know what I think would be what I think would be pretty amazing, right?
Hmm.
And like, I don't know if I don't know if it's really healthy to be like theory crafting in this way, but I suppose this is what we wanted to do. Imagine for a moment that we progress through the game and like kind of the way we expect. We get to the Chocobo Ranch, and we get ourselves a bird, and we go across the swamp, and we narrowly escape death at the hands of the snake, and we maybe have a boss fight with it. That's a huge set piece and stuff.
Mm.
And we narrowly and the party narrowly escapes with their lives. Then, maybe a little bit later, we get a clue that Sephiroth has come this way. We return to the site and find the snake dead.
Yeah, that sounds about the best way to handle it.
So instead of there being like ostensibly two snakes, like
Yeah,
there was in the original, it's just the same snake that gave us that much problems and is now dead.
yeah, I could see that. That works
Yeah.
for me.
Okay. The next one is: do you feel, with Final Fantasy Remake being so successful, do you feel less pressure to match fan expectations when reimagining beloved areas and moments?
No, no, no.
He says, as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will take players to various locations across the whole world, we needed to recreate the massive Seven World map that would also incorporate places such as towns and dungeons within itself. To do this, we dug deeply into the feeling of each region and reflected that in the graphics, creating areas that look and feel quite diverse. On top of that, we designed chocobos unique to each region that have their own abilities. Example, mountain chocobos that can climb sheer cliffs, and sky chocobos that can fly, etc. So players will need to use their chocobos to fully explore each area. I hope players have a lot of fun with this aspect of exploration.
So that's just Metroidvania shit, but with birds.
Yeah, so are we going to be coming back to... Are we going to be coming back to Chocobillies every now and again to breed a new chocobo to access the next area?
I don't know, because one of the things that they say in that is that there's chocobos per region. So I don't know if
Yeah.
maybe it's going to be a case of like mountain chocobos are, well, in the trailer that we saw, the mountain chocobo was definitely scaling around Cosmo Canyon. So maybe like Cosmo Canyon has the chocobos that can naturally climb on rocks, and you'll catch that there, and you'll get a kind of sky one in one of the areas that's more, hilly or whatever, and and that will kind of ostensibly replace chocobo breeding. I don't know
Yeah,
if we're
so
maybe
maybe
going to
we're just
lose.
going to have to catch them in different areas.
Yeah, like we're going to have regional chocobos that can do different things, and we're probably going to have to, like, I don't know, climb some ridiculous challenge location in order to get a golden chocobo. That's that's one interpretation of that, because it doesn't. I've not
Yeah,
seen anything about chocobo breeding or farming or anything like that so
yeah,
far, and it does kind of feel like with them saying there's going to be different ones in different regions, they're just going to not do it.
yeah. I mean, that's potentially you are potentially right in that, and saying that they said that there's chocobos like in different regions. The chocobo is unique to each region, is what they say, rather than saying there are chocobos that can help you traverse each region.
Yeah, saying
That would
they
maybe
are unique to each
that maybe
region.
imply that they all came from the ranch. If they've said that there's chocobos that can help you get different places,
Yeah, no,
but
yeah,
that's not what they said. Yeah.
yeah. So having them unique to each region would suggest that everywhere you go, a bow is going to have a different ability, and it's probably going to be, Mounty Boys at Cosmo Canyon, the flying ones around Fort Condor, and
Mhm.
the water ones up north at the kind of snowy regions.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe a chocobo that's fast enough to run over ice.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Okay, next question is Remake offered new interpretations of classic locations and moments as well as new ones that enrich the game. Is there a similar balance for Rebirth? Now, this one was answered by Kitaze, the big man,
Ah,
the director.
didn't even know he was
So
there.
yeah, he was in the meeting too apparently, and he says, as with the previous game, we have strived for the right balance between old and new scenes in Rebirth, but we also tried to take on more new challenges than we did in Remake with some of the new scenes. I'm confident these new scenes will be widely enjoyable for fans and newcomers alike. So a very corporate answer, Mr. Katazi.
Yeah,
Very generic, saying words but not actually saying anything.
he said that in perfect text to speech.
Yep. Um, so this question, I like how this next question's been asked, and just the way that the question's been framed. And I wonder if you agree. What is the function of the world map in Rebirth?
They're asking the big questions.
I like the way that that's been asked. I don't know
Yeah,
about you.
yeah.
But the answer is the world map is vast and expansive, so not all of the locations on it will be used in the main story alone. In fact,
Oh,
volume
yes.
wise, the amount of side content in 7 Rebirth is nearly double that of the main quest content. Players who want to enjoy the 7 setting on an even deeper level can explore all the corners of the world, discovering many different and exciting experiences, such as new stories, battles, and mini games to play. It will also be possible to return to any of the regions in the world, even after the main quest moves on from that area, so you don't have to worry about leaving things behind or unfinished. So, not a chapter
Amazing.
system then.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Everything that he says just makes this sound like they get it. It is the game we want it to be, and it's probably going to be more than that too.
Next is one that we kind of knew the answer to. Can players port over their save and file and character builds to continue from remake to rebirth? The answer, in short, is no. But Hamaguchi does say that we've created some special bonuses for fans who played the previous game, allowing them to start with a little something extra.
Yeah, so we'll probably end up just getting like an extra summon materia and some weapon buffs or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll be
and
right
it's
back
uh,
again.
it's
I've
an
broke the seal. I'll be right back. Sorry.
no worries, no worries. So yeah, that is an incentive if there ever was one to before Rebirth comes out. If you are planning on playing it, have another crack at 7 Remake. Download your save data, make sure it's all there because apparently we're getting a present if you've run through the original game. Um, so God, there's a lot of questions in this. Oh no, actually, there's not too many left. We'll not be too pressed for time. So, um, as I say, we're going to be going through the trailer specifically in a lot more detail and kind of deconstructing what we saw in those four and a bit minutes. because there's a lot to get through, and as I say, we're going to have that new fan perspective as well from Willokin. But let me see. Let's have a look at the chat here. Have we talked about the Xbox leaks? Yeah. So actually, Charlotte, we did that right at the beginning of the stream. So if you want to catch up on the VOD of that later on, we did cover the Xbox leaks. We had some things to say, just to kind of go through what we did discuss is the weird trend towards cloud gaming that was leaked. We discussed the new games that got leaked as well. So yeah, we did cover the Xbox leaks. And you're back.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, I was just saying, like, it might be a good idea for everyone to maybe play Remake again just before Rebirth, and I certainly will be.
Oh yeah.
So we can make sure we get our special gift, whatever it is. And I was just going over because Ska had asked if we'd covered the Xbox leaks, and I was just saying that we had, and it's be at the start of the stream if you want to catch the VOD. Okay, so next is soundtrack and music. Let me see. Is there any kind of big things here? Okay,
just that they're gonna do the music in more styles, and the trailer music that they used is actually the world map music reimagined as a kind of battle theme.
Oh, nice.
So if you didn't catch that in your first watch, enjoy it in the next one.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the concept behind the new trailer? And this, unfortunately, is a Nomura answer.
Oh God, right, okay.
Every trailer has a specific purpose. Since this is the second installment in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, there are people who have played the previous game or enthusiastic fans who follow the built-in mysteries, but for newcomers or those who are simply interested in the 7 series, we wanted to include a full overview of what kind of experience they will have with this remake project. So there is less of a mysterious pretense to the story this time, but you can look forward to the next trailer. Okay, so we're getting another trailer before it comes out. I think that's one thing we can deduce from that.
Yeah, I think what he's getting at there is this was us just showing that the game's going to be full of nutty bullshit. Don't worry, the next trailer's going to be the story-heavy one where we spoil half of the content.
And, saying that, it's kind of interesting that he said, there's less of a mysterious pretense to the story this time. Maybe admitting that there was maybe a little bit much mysterious pretense in the first part. Has he admitted that to himself?
No, I think what he's really saying there is the next one's going to be it's going to be like Kojima levels of bullshit. I think the next trailer that we're going to get is going to be largely centered around Zack.
Okay. And next there was a scene with Cloud and Sephiroth fighting together. Will the player get to control Sephiroth? Nomura says, if you played the original Final Fantasy VII, I'm sure you can guess which scene I'm talking about. You will be able to control Sephiroth in the same scene in this title as you did in the original. So we're going to be able to fight a dragon with him, and that's maybe it.
You couldn't actually control Sephiroth in the original, though. He was AI. You could mess around with his equipment settings.
He made his own commands, didn't he?
He did. Damn. Yeah.
So I am still hopeful, and the reason that I'm hopeful is if they were making him AI and they were making him a sort of guest character like they did with Red, you didn't see Red's health bar.
True.
And when we were playing 7 Remake and Red was in the party, you never saw Red's health bar. In fact, Red's health was only in danger at one point, and that's when you were on the timer to go and rescue him.
However, However,
Uh-huh.
I do raise you that even though in the original FF7 he wasn't controllable, they still displayed his health bar purely as a show of his power.
They did. They
It
did.
could be there aesthetically.
I will counter
Oh my
by
god, it's
saying
Yu-Gi-Oh now.
by saying that they have made an awful big deal about the synergy attacks with the various party members and showing how that they can be from a combination of different characters. Like across the various trailers that we've seen, we have seen that, a lot of the characters
Well,
already have been shown to have various interactions with each other and different synergy. And what Cloud and Sephiroth are doing at one point in the trailer is definitely a synergy attack.
oh yeah, he gives him that really hot for you look.
Yeah, he does. But like, aside from slash fiction baiting, the way that it is shown is like the same way that the other synergy attacks have been shown, in terms of like the way that the camera moves around and like zooms out to
Okay.
show everyone like the limit breaks do. So I am confident that we're going to get a very short segment of playable Sephiroth.
I hope
I
so.
believe, and I'm even more confident of it now that I've seen like kind of how kind of how much Hamaguchi gets it within the team.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, and like
Oh, fuck's
you
sake.
you got he has to know, like, people, the people behind this game have to know that that's something people want. Like, people do want to slash things up with Sephiroth. I'm
Yeah,
not the only one, surely, that wants to do that.
no, no, it is a pretty high on the to-do list, especially with, playable Sephiroth and like Smash and shit like that. People
Hmm.
really do want to just feel the power fantasy, but I don't know. It's just the way Nomura's worded that. You know what he's like.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm concerned that when he says it's playable in the same manner it was in the original, that means that it's just going to be basically AI, and we're just going to get to enjoy a cool show, and maybe the meter, maybe he's AI, but the meter for the combo
Mm.
thing still charges as if he's not. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe. I suppose, as you say, because of the way he's answered that question, it could be read either way. The next the next question that we have is the gold saucer appears in the release trailer, but will players be able to enjoy the much anticipated date scene on the Ferris wheel? Nomura says, naturally, this is one of the major highlights of Gold Saucer, so it is included in the game. Please look forward to how it will appear in 7 Rebirth with its high-res visuals. That's a
Awesome.
fairly simple answer from Nomura for once.
Yeah. I think everybody in the room was just quiet, waiting for him to go on, but no.
And I think there's that in the next answer, that's a kind of interesting thing as well. But I better tell you the question first. Final Fantasy VII Remake showed the story up until the escape from Midgar, but what point does Final Fantasy VII Rebirth take us up to?
Big
Nomura
questions.
says, we have mentioned this a few times before, but the order in which you can explore the locations is not the same as the original Final Fantasy VII, and there are some shifts in the order. For example, Wutai, one of the major locations, is not part of this route in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and will be visited in the next one.
All right. Big build up to the
Al-
war.
Although there are some changes in the order of the locations depicted in this title extend up to the Forgotten Capital, where the greatest fate of Final Fantasy VII awaits you.
So, what I'm getting from that is one of two things. We are either going to move the City of the Ancients and the Lost Capital to a different point in the map, possibly closer to Northern Crater or as part of Northern Crater, like maybe the city is in the crater,
Hmm.
or he is referring to the second visit with Bugenhagen.
But is that? I mean, does that also mean that,
Oh,
like,
sick, we got a bot.
is that where the greatest fate of Final Fantasy VII is unveiled? The second visit.
Right, let me give you my reasoning here, right? So obviously, the immediate re- the immediate thought for that is what happens the first time, when Aerith is taken from us. Right, that's the scene that they've already referred to as the one that everybody's
Hmm.
waiting to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is determining the I'm going to pause for this one because I'm getting my tinfoil hat on.
Hmm.
I don't think that is where the ultimate fate of Final Fantasy is decided. I think the ultimate fate of Final Fantasy VII is decided on the second visit with Bugenhagen, because that is when we learn that Aerith was saying the prayer to cast Holy.
Yeah. That is that is a good point, and that we find out about Holy from there, and how important that is going forward.
Yeah, because we've already seen Aerith's useless materia that's in her hair.
It doesn't do anything, she says.
It doesn't do anything, it's not for anything, but we know it's holy, and she can
Yeah.
only use holy when saying the prayer. And that's the whole point of the second visit with Bugenhagen, is to discover what Aerith was doing, what was the point of the prayer in her commune with the literal pool of consciousness that is in the City of the Ancients. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's when we discover the holy has been cast.
Yeah.
Because when we see the materia at first, it's white. When it falls, it's green.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think you're right. I think with what you said there, I think you're probably dead on. I think that you know that is gonna, like, because FF7 Rebirth, we have kind of like openly said, like, just because of the section of the game that we'll be going into, this is kind of like the Empire Strikes Back cycle of Final Fantasy VII, where for the most part the bad guys are winning and the heroes they're having the shit regularly kicked out of them in various means. Like they are failing in various places and getting captured, and the losing party members, and it is where the heroes are at their lowest,
Yeah.
as Max put it. This is where the heroes are at their lowest, and we are, we have to take that dip in the hero's journey to then go towards the triumphant climax in part 3. So yeah, I think that's a bit further on in the game than I really expected them to go. But if they're saying that it's going to be like 40 hours of core gameplay, see, I still don't think that's enough time.
Well, yeah, maybe, like, the more I think about it, if it was the second visit with Bugenhagen, that implies that we're doing Cloud in the wheelchair and Cloud in the live stream, and I think that's where the third game's going to start. So maybe they
Yeah.
are just changing the order of events, and what happens with Aerith is going to be right at the end, and we're not going to actually
Yeah.
get to the Forgotten Capital until after a lot of the other events of the game.
I still think, and this is partially like what I think and partially like what I hope, but I still think we're going to cold open part 3 without Cloud.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way to do it.
And Sid, not only will Sid be playable, Sid will be the party leader.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd be
because
so
he
up for
kind of
that.
because he kind of is the party leader in the little bit that we played recently when we were last doing our Thursday stream. Like he kind of is the party leader for a little bit.
True.
So why wouldn't we get to play as him? And then that kind of opens us out to potentially larger scale boss battles where we are jumping between two sets of party members fighting on two fronts. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Oh, fuck, this guy's so buff.
Yeah. So if I remember right, this guy's based on like an actual historical samurai figure. Is it Kojiro? I'm pretty sure that's Sasaki Kojiro. Which was he was supposedly famous for a sword technique that no one could counter.
Well, that sucks. Okay, I just got to be a little bit slower. I think I'm being too aggressive with this guy.
Yeah, patience, perhaps.
His health. This is like a fucking Bloodborne fight. His health pool's so deep.
But yeah, the trailer has given us so many things to wonder about, to kind of theory crafting. What did you like to kind of finish us off? I suppose because we are kind of past the 12 mark now. We're going to turn into pumpkins, but when it comes to, I suppose the last thing that we can maybe theory craft on, away from Thursday is the convergence, and Sephiroth seems conscious of the convergence as an idea. He is the one that says, "Oh, where worlds merge." So, does that imply that he is being that the Sephiroth that we see throughout FF7 is from the live stream itself and from thereby the collective memories of everyone? Does that mean that he's, are they kind of, are the devs being a bit cheeky and being a bit tongue in cheek and saying that all of our beloved fans and players are part of the live stream too, and Sephiroth has access to your memories and is trying to change things now?
Maybe that's definitely an interpretation of it. I kind of take it just based on things that we've seen with Aerith, that all ancients or beings of the live stream have some sort of concept of the multiverse and different events that have played out.
Yeah, because there were points in Remake where you do get the impression that Aerith maybe has some idea of not only like other people's fate and destiny, but of her own.
Well, yeah, I mean, her first showing of that was when she was a child, and she told Elmira that her husband was dead.
Yeah.
So she
has like a kind of awareness of other people and their connections, and has always been shown to have had that, but maybe she knows a little bit more of her own fate as well. And are we going to get, like, and this is the thing as well, but the convergence, like, where is that going to take place? Like, how does that cycle end? Because we've been shown, we've not just been shown Zack in the trailer, like, alive and carting catatonic Cloud around the place. We've seen him specifically in Sector 5.
This is true. So
we've seen him in Sector. Yep, we've seen him in Sector 5, dumping Cloud's half-conscious corpse onto Kyrie, and saying, "Can you just watch my friend for a while?" and you know exactly what he's doing. He's going to the other thing that was shown that was shown. No, wait, I can't talk about that. But
Finally.
he was like there is you get the one thing that you can get from, given that he is dropping Cloud off in Sector 5, there is only one place he could possibly be going.
Yeah. Uh, is it the pillar? Is it the weapon shop?
No.
Is it the sick guy's house?
He's finally going to return all the wagon parts.
Oh, of course, silly me.
He's gonna say that he's he's gonna get the opportunity to say, what letter?
Obviously, he's going back to Shinra HQ to report.
Yeah, so Hojo's a maniac. Hojo's a maniac. I have one of the troopers here. He's Cloud. He's all right. He's sound, and Sephiroth's dead. Yeah, we know that, Zach.
What a
We
mission
know
report.
that, Zach.
Oh, and also all those dudes you sent to kill me are also dead.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah. Even that Turk that we've seen in that one game and never seen again.
All of them. Tan breed. No pulse or nothing. But yeah.
All of those. Yeah. There's an entire cliffside of slaughtered Shinra troopers up there.
Oh, I want to make this big thing go bong.
Oh man, it would be so good if you could.
Yeah. Oh well, 9 out of 10 game.
Unfortunately, I think it's just set dressing.
Can't bong gong, -1 point.
Ah,
Well, yeah, that seems like a good enough place for us to leave it.
indeed.
Done plenty of good
And
stuff, got through a
we
lot
d-
of good conversation. How do you feel about the answer to those questions now that you know all the additional info?
Wow. So yeah, you weren't kidding. There was a lot of additional context, and Hamaguchi absolutely gets it, and he is one of my new favourites on that team.
When they tell us the
Um,
Hamaguchi and Yoshi P are combo, and it's like, oh god.
the dream team.
Well, maybe not. You know,
But
16 wasn't all that. Who knows?
well, the thing is, I mean, I think, and again, I'm totally making excuses for 16 here, but like they were approaching it from a different perspective. It's not an RPG game; it's an action game.
What a Turk. Well, there we go. We've got ourselves a new or upgraded charm thing. That's some pretty good work we've done tonight. Let's just do some upgrades and then we'll call it there.
Yeah, and we got the Dance of Wrath, the coolest move in the game,
Yeah.
which is basically Cloud Strife's triple slash.
Pretty much. I'm very happy with the progress that we've made. Here's to making even more in the next one.
And just to ask, is it the 7 remake DLC that we are doing after this game? Just as a one-off, because it's only going to take you like 4 hours, man, if that.
Should we wait until closer to Rebirth's release?
I mean, it's your call, man. I've played through it already. I mean, it depends on how familiar you want to be with what's happened there before it comes out.
Yeah, no, let's just get ahead of the curve then. We can do that next. That gives us something cute, and then we can decide what our next big project will be. It's probably
Aye,
going to be 8, isn't it?
possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, let's play a good Final Fantasy and then play a shit one.
um, and yeah, I think we will have remake Intergrade done in one maybe two, one maybe two streams. Um,
We'll just pick a day
yeah,
that we're both good for it and try and start a wee bit earlier, finish a wee bit late, and just smash it in one.
yeah, just smash it in one go. That sounds good to me.
See if I can one shot the plat or
Uh,
all the
plus,
trophies.
plus, it is always good to see you go into something for the first time, and something like going into something FF7 for the first time on stream will be good fun.
Yeah, it's a shame I can't do it with Ever Crisis.
Yeah.
I'm weirdly enjoying myself with it now that I get it, and I've smashed the summer beach event that they've put on to a point where I've got max star, like fully maxed out beach parasol for Zach.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've not played much of it yet, admittedly. I was too busy finishing off Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, don't worry. When it comes time for you to play, I'll just carry you through those co-op missions. I have an Inaki that has 30k power just on his own.
Nice.
Yeah, he's pretty buff. All right, well, good place to stop. Thanks everybody for watching. It's been an absolute blasty blast. We're back on Thursday where we will be going through the FF7 Rebirth trailer frame by frame with a third party.
In detail.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yep, and Willikin will be here as well for the new player perspective on the trailer and what she thinks of what was seen.
Yeah, especially now that all of the context is fresh in our mind.
Indeed. Okay, guys, take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.
Oh man, I do this every time. I'm just messing through the menu the completely wrong way. Just hold the slurs. Just hold them back. Hold.